Yo guys, how you doing? We are back, and this time with something new. We've got Sarek, the Silent King, his two little crypto people attendants, and a special conversion of Anrakir the Traveler. Loving these guys. All the new Necron stuff, absolutely fantastic to paint. This is a conversion I've done using the Indomitus Overlord. The main body is from that. The arms are from that. They've just been reposed, and that one was a pain in the ass. The head is from the Catacomb Command Barge, just with the circle bit taken out of the middle. And we've got a war scythe also from the CCB, but with the same end as the Indomitus Overlord. Other than that, these bits are taken from the Raw Warden, and these two in the middle are the usual chains that come down from the chest there. So loads of fun little bits and tweaks on this guy. Loving it. We're going to get some paint on these boys today, especially Sarek. God, what a beast he looks. We've done a load of Blackstone on him so far. Got that to highlight just a little bit more, but otherwise no huge details on that, I don't think. In the chat so far, we've got Snake Plissken, Abandon's Lost Arms. Chilling with a girlfriend gives me a full English. Oh, full English. Life is good. It's like, what's an English life? I don't understand that one. Des, how you doing? And thank you for the host earlier on. Muad'Dib and Mark Mania. How's it going, bro? Can you show sight on Silent King and Lord? Yeah. There you go. He's about a head taller. Like a full head taller. He's a gargantuan Necron, that's for damn sure. He's probably still shorter than Cesaras. Cesaras on an 80mm base, and I reckon stands about sort of that tall. But you know, there's not a humongous size difference between the two. It's just, I imagine he's still larger than Silent King. Now, all of these guys have just been super glued with a tiny amount of it to these bases so we can work on them. These are all going to go on the superstructure, which is, of course, the dais of the Silent King. Now, that is in about 28 pieces. Literally not exaggerating at this point. Yeah. We've got all of the metals sprayed. Apart from the gold, we've got all of the Blackstone done. So these are the little daises that these guys stand on. So you're going to have something like that going on. We've got the Blackstone pillars. The base itself is just freaking enormous. Like that's the engine that everything goes on. Muad'Dib, what are you doing? What are you doing? Giving a sub to the other Alan, not regular Alan, the other Alan. The other Alan, there you are, congrats. Enjoy your sub. Exclamation point win, exclamation point mystery. Let's see why you should always be a sub. At this point, we have way more subs than we normally have watching the stream. Like, I can guarantee you that. Mason did his in lots of sub-assemblies. There's a gargantuan amount of sub-assemblies. Fortunately, these guys are just 3 of them, and then we have the Cape of the Silent King, which will be a really nice purple. That's going to go on, obviously, surrounding him there. The purple's going to really pop off against the Blackstone and the gold and everything that's going in there. So it's going to be really, really pretty by the time it's done. Let's get to it, though. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to take Anrakir. Now, GW's art is this. And it's not bad. It's really, really not bad. But the art that a friend sent me of this guy was done so much better. It was this beautiful non-metallic metal thing going on, and we're obviously not going to do that, and there's no other pictures of Anrakir because nobody wants to buy this unfortunately fine cast mini. So we're going to start off with a wash all over this guy's armor, and rather than using a black wash, a dark tone like we have for everyone else here, that we really, really thin down. We're going to take some of this, we're going to take some blue, we're going to mix the two together and wash him in a very, very dark blue. For the blue wash, because I want to keep it super vibrant but also still dark, we're using this Secret Weapon Blue wash. This stuff's great. I bet you can't find it for £2 anywhere, and I got given this by someone that runs a game store. I think it had been sat on his shelf forever and he just couldn't get rid of it. So, managed to pick some up. This is going to give me something that's a little bit like Drakenhof, but just a little bit more blue. Drakenhof is a little desaturated. There's nothing wrong with that, but I want something that is quite powerfully still blue. Imagine we're going to wash this guy and he's going to end up looking like a very dark version of a Grey Knight. That's kind of where we're aiming for it. So all of the armor plates are going to get a good slathering of this, and we'll obviously go back in and make sure there's no pooling going on, because we don't know which bits we're going to do any other colours for now, and I don't think there's going to be any. We're looking at pretty much keeping him a la the original colour scheme. So it's probably not going to be a huge amount of splash colours. There's no gold on the Mini apart from the dress and the helmet. A couple of wee bits on the war scythe perhaps. So all of this blue, and all of the glow on the Mini, they've done blue as well. So around things like the tachyon arrow that he's got here, that will be blue. We have some blue glows there. We've got these big orbs on the shoulders, they'll be blue. So you've got a very set colour scheme. But notice how we're getting a nice dark set of shadows, how the overall tone is remaining nice and blue, but still a very bright blue. In fact, you can barely see it showing up on camera there. Let me just knock down the exposure a touch, see if that comes through a bit more. Not really. There you are. There you are. Now we've got it. Now we've got it. So, Happy New Year to all of you. For those of you that were here on the New Year's Eve stream, I had an absolute blast. Thank you for joining in. Hope you guys all enjoyed it. We've got some assembly to do for the prizes that we're giving away on that stream. We need to assemble our Blood Bowl Minotaur that we're going to paint in the Dull Ass Cowboys team colours, which will be silver with a blue star. It makes perfect sense, what with him being a Minotaur and all. We've got a Armiger Warglaive to assemble. That was in the mystery box from November. I think Polly's pretty happy with this Invicta, but that Armiger, man, that's going to be a cool one. It's going to be a cool one. What are we doing on these? We've got a little bit of black, and then we've got a lot of silver. We've got some blue glow around all these energy cells and so on. All the blades are going to be blue. This guy, as you can tell, very predominantly blue toned. We've got gold all around the headdress though, so you don't need to worry about any of that. Let's get this all over his faceplate. We get a little less just there on the front of the helmet, and then we're going to manipulate the wash just a touch to get it settled right down there above that brow line, like so. Just a little bit of stippling to help that on its way. We also finished off our Ogroid Myrmidon as well. That got all based and everything. And yesterday I just used a little bit extra resin to make sure all of those bits of plant, the preserved foliage from Rival Crafts that we used, are on there. I need to take some photos of this guy before we can send him his way. But there he is. Let's zoom out a little bit. He's a little bit of a bigger lad. There you go. This guy is looking like an absolute boss. Huge fan of the way this guy turned out. Very, very quick paint job as well. Took 2 streams and the Hellstorm stream to do. If we'd been going with a much more traditional style base, probably would have been done before midnight as well. So yeah, really happy with him. He's going to be sent off to Jerry Drop Dead. I got to work out how we now ship things to the EU, because I don't really know if that's changed much. We'll see. We'll find out. Right, there we go. So it's a quick blue wash done all over that. Tilts, what up? Stinger UK, how's it going? Mark Amina says, so I stopped using washes and tried to do shading myself, and I have to say it's working well. Good stuff, man. I will frequently do that and just put in pin washes, but because we're looking to change the overall hue of the armor a little bit, we basically put the wash on so thin it's a glaze. It will, of course, still settle into the recesses and help provide that darker area in there for us. It's also going to dull down some of the extremely aggressive shine that we got on the armor. We used the Vallejo model color range, sorry, metal color silver. I think this was the chrome one that they do. Chrome's got a slight blue tint to it as well, so obviously we're all aiming that way. But there's nothing wrong with using a wash where it's applicable. However, frequently you will get better results by doing exactly what you're doing and glazing in some shadows and so on. Right, we'll come back to these two guys. We're going to carry on Zarek. So we know that all of this is going to be gold. The big old shoulder pads that we've got, the trim up around his helmet and his front horn is going to be gold, and also his face will be gold as well. We want the face to be a much darker gold than anything else, so we're going to be a little bit more aggressive with our shadows. Pop in the whip gallery, man. Exclamation point Discord or exclamation point whip. Head on over there and show us what you got. Let's start getting some silver base coats on this guy first, though. We need to use silver on all of the joints, so shoulder, elbow, things like the hand will be silver. These little bits of leg, knee, etc. Just to help break up some of the darkness we've got there. So we're going to go on with some Vallejo gunmetal from their Model Air metallic range. Super, super good. I should be getting a delivery today of Pro Acrylic paints. They're being delivered by Amazon Logistics, which means that they inevitably won't knock at the door. Every single time I've had an Element order arrive that's been sent by Amazon rather than sent by Royal Mail, they almost do a hit and run at my house. The package arrives on the doorstep in utter stealth mode, and I once had a package left behind the bin literally all night that had a load of Arkham Horror card packs in. So, you know, Tilts, yours might still be waiting for stock, but that's probably because I got mine. Like, you know, if they sell it, they need to replenish it. I didn't think we'd need to go through this. It's called capitalism. It's been a thing for a while now. Yeah, this gunmetal is really, really good. It's quite dark. It's got plenty of stick. It's got a nice shine to it because the metal fleck is really, really small and is very eye-catching as a result. I'm a big fan of the Vallejo silvers. I tend to use scale golds, but the Vallejo silvers are damn good. It's posted. Awesome, dude. We'll have a look at that later on when we do our whip section. Right towards the end of the show. So it's giving me something to look forward to already, man. Dope. Just got the tiniest amount on that Blackstone. Managed to wipe it off quick before it's set. This is the sort of thing that if you weren't airbrushing the Blackstone, you'd want to do this first. Then get your blackstone based, then highlight and wash all these bits, and then highlight the blackstone to avoid any of those kind of mistakes. But, you know. So my order was going to be fulfilled from a stock that came in from Monument a few days ago, but sounds of it isn't. Mate, they only just shipped it a few days ago. Joe and Wolfart, how you doing, bro? It has been a good new year so far. 2 days in, or at least, let's just say a day and a half in. Going well. Going well. Had a bit of a headache yesterday, but, you know, didn't matter. Decided to take the day off for the first time in a while. Watched some shows on Netflix, been watching Gotham, and chilled out a little bit. Did a little bit of work still, though. Couldn't have a complete day off. Been working on getting a Ravenwing Primaris Apothecary done. So we've put the plasma guns in, the plasma talons, I want to guess. Could be. Got the torso assembled. Obviously need a lot of gap filling in there, so I'm going to get some green stuff out to pad that, and probably some plastic putty over the top. We've managed to bend these purity seals so they fit in around the bike area a little bit more. And obviously we've got this nice apothecarium thing Ravenwing bikers carry. So yeah, got a lot to do left on it, but he's looking cool. That's going to be a YouTube video coming up soon, which is going to be all about how to paint white. And that's one that I think everyone's going to want to watch, because white is one of those things that a lot of people have a hard time painting. And it's easy to understand why. It is. White is tricky unless you know a few extra tips, unless you have a method that you've had some practice with. One of the biggest barriers to people painting white is finding a good white. The GW ones are no good. Do not buy. Do not buy. Which season 3 of Cobra Kai? I watched the first season and I loved it. I watched the second season and I was disappointed, if I'm honest. I used a free trial, fortunately, of YouTube Premium, and I'm glad I didn't pay to watch it. It was not good at all. Yeah, just wasn't sold. So I'm really hoping season 3 is a lot more like season 1, and that season 2 is just meh, forgettable. Glad things are going well so far. Absolutely, bro. Like I said, 2 days in, we're doing okay. We're doing okay. Going off to see the missus later on. Gonna have a smoke with some buddies after the stream. So yeah. So you say you're never drinking those things ever again in series, but we all know that's probably not true. It's going to happen, dude. Because we've all been there and said, "Oh, I'm never doing that again." Annie. I know, dude. I know. Netflix bought all of the Cobra Kai Cobra Kai show, and then made season 3. So I'm really hoping that it is as good as season 1. Right, let's just get in here and hit those. Don't need to do too much to this, just simply because it's going to be hidden by its massive cape. But let's make sure that we get a decent coverage of our base coats at least. After you've painted Nick's arm, you should know all the names by now. All I have to do is the painting, Tim. That's it. That's it. I don't need to read the fluff. I get him to read the fluff and tell me all the fluff decisions that need to be made. And to be honest, he doesn't know. So I message you and like, has so-and-so got this item of war gear? I don't know. I'll have to check the codex. That's the usual answer. Now, to give him his due, it's not like these are models he's played games with, so that's understandable. But the best Dark Angels player in the world doesn't know. Oh, shitballs. I'm glad that's being hidden by his cloak. But, hey, rescued. Rescued. The gods of painting are smiling down upon me today. Love it. I keep forgetting you stream Saturdays. I need my sleeps. You need your meeps. I think I might need my sleeps, but you know. Neither the best Knights player in the world. Mate, I know all my rules. I know all my rules. I don't know any of the Dark Angels rules. That's not my army. I don't need to. I just need to essentially know what offensive damage output they have and their defensive stats. That's it. Like one of the greatest wrestlers ever once said, and I'm paraphrasing, it doesn't matter what their names are. So we're already getting a lot of separation out of this guy just by hitting these joints. Start to break everything up. Much preferring the look to it now. We're going to do some blue OSL on the chest piece. We're going to go very pale with it though. Want it to look kind of cold and aloof. That kind of cold fury. We want absolutely detached from anything going on around him. He is a supreme being. Totally forgot it's Saturday. Good morning. Excellent nightmare. Happy New Year to you. You smell the rock is cooking? Pancakes! It's always pancakes. Or it's rock toast. Rock toast, I feel, would actually kill a lesser man if they ate it more than once. And it just goes to show the supreme fortitude of the rock that he can eat rock toast. Rock toasters who don't know what it is French toast about that thick, covered in jam and peanut butter and occasionally tequila infused cream and so on. And goddamn. Okay, just one leg done. Looking much cooler now, just by having that in there. I didn't want to do too much in the way of like gold on this guy, because I'm very aware that due to his pose and his build, he's very slim. Because he's so tall, he's very trim. I didn't want him to look like C-3PO. I was very worried that if we do too much in the way of gold, and my client loves gold, especially the way that I do it as well, he really likes that kind of effect you get out of it. But my god, if I paint this guy with a load of gold and then chuck him up there on that throne, it's going to look like the droids on fucking Jabba's barge. And that's not going to be good at all. You won't be able to unsee it. So, decided to go with a lot of black stone on the Silent King, because he just dampens down psychers. Drunk Mystic! How you doing, brother? Thank you very much for that, host. How you doing? Now, of course, if you guys want to look at how to do your Blackstone, exclamation point YouTube, go and head on over there after the show, where you can watch our latest video, which we did for the Void Dragon series, part 2 of the 3-part series, Blackstone and Blades. Drunk Mystic getting that sub in as well. Love the last mini, dude. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you very, very much, man. 3 months. Absolute legend, mate. There's Viking. Coming in here with a bag on his head because he's late. Late. Be great dishonor to your family. Bobber's Barge. I don't fucking know. I don't watch Star Wars. You guys should be impressed enough that I even remembered that part where the giant sandworm's going to come up and like, hey, we've got another follow bar. I think chat managed to delete one of its messages as well, which is super, super good. Kill it. Kill it with fire. Is Des here? I know he said he'd be like lurking for a bit, but I don't know. Ban. There you go. Just making sure I actually banned the right person. This is why I've always let the mods do it. If they ban the wrong person, then well, they fucked up and I'm okay. Like, the last thing I want to do is be responsible for banning like an actual member of the community. Just carefully getting in around this elbow joint. It's very natural to want to use this to brace, but this whole thing is so flimsy, you just can't. You just can't. Dude, it's from fucking Star Wars. Like, I actually remember that, where you've got Luke and so on the barge. I'm pretty sure Jabba's there. I know it's not from The Mandalorian, or at least it's not where I've seen it from, because I haven't seen The Mandalorian. I've seen about 4 episodes, I think, of the first series, and I want to watch the rest of it. It's just finding time. It's one of those series which is actually good enough to stop me painting while I watch it, which is a rare thing. Like that doesn't happen much at all. And so it's not that I get a lot of time to chill out. I mean, I get enough, but I'm normally, if it's time away from the stream or work, I'm spending it on the other half, because we don't get much time together. Return of the Jedi, there you go. There you go. Trying to do the whole marble thing. Cool. Cool, how's it going? Did you manage to get good looking marble, or are you still struggling? Because I know to begin with you had the wrong, you bought baby wipes, and just like the baby wipes that I bought, they weren't stretchy. couldn't get the stencil right. Just started. Okay, man. Keep us up to date. I'd love to see it in the whip later on. Let's see how you got on, dude. Are you doing 2-tone or 1-tone? Because it's not much extra work. It adds quite a lot to it, and I can't believe that nobody has done it before either. Like all these tutorials about how to paint marble, and right, well, you do this, you spray this, and yay, done. You can take that so much further, as we proved in that YouTube video. Do it 3, awesome, awesome. Love it, bro. Right, let's do his neck. His big, long giraffe, elegant neck. Do his shoulder as well. Haven't done that yet either. Let's do that before we accidentally miss it, and that'll be really, really annoying. You literally aren't going to see this bit, but just in case, right? Sure, far from being in such high demand, and no, it's from the Mandalorian. When you've seen it, you'll understand. Okay, but it's definitely from Star Wars. So. So I'm not too worried about getting it on the face, because that's going to be painted gold. We need to be very careful with that. If we do our normal gold and just sort of wash it as normal and kind of leave it to be, it won't look right when we put the blue around the eyes. So we're going to need to do a little bit more work than usual with our washes to get in there and darken down certain areas. Basically give some extra shape and some extra shadows and a sense of drama to the face. It's going to look sick, that's for sure. Trying to think of anything I've seen where there's a guy in a gold mask that looks completely dispassionate and cold. I want to say there was a little bit like that in 300, but I don't think that was the case. But I want to just have this incredible sense of superiority. It doesn't matter what you are. He is Zarek. He is the Silent King. He has ruled the Necron Empire for aeons. He battled star gods when your civilization wasn't born yet. Whatever it is that you do, you are still nothing to him. That's kind of the look we want to go for with this. Right, a lot of this is going to be airbrushed. There's no point in painting any of that part upwards. That includes the blackstone, and so I'm going to do this just like we did the power blades in the YouTube video, blackstone blades. Same with this bit just at the bottom. I didn't want to do that now to get all of the rest of the bodies done, all of them, so we can set the tones right. Now let me know how much light and shadow I need to put in on these. That'll be one of the last things that we do. It's also something that requires a lot of protection over it, so I don't do it first, because just moving the model and scratching it against my hand there will remove the ink and so on from that surface. So let's get some gold on Sarek. Taking our Dwarven gold, not Viking gold, something different. The Master of Skyrim. Yes, Flash Gordon. Yeah. Sounds like the mother-in-law. Can confirm. Mother-in-law, never good. Never good. Right, so let's put some gold down. Let's pick all the areas that we know are going to be gold to begin with. So all of this, definitely gold. It's going to need a couple of coats maybe for some coverage, but it should be okay. And just run out of water on my palette. I never played Skyrim. Well, no, I have played Skyrim, but I couldn't get into it. I really don't like first-person hack and slash games. And I imagine there's parts of it that aren't that, but I didn't get that far. My other half, really big into it. She loved it. It just wasn't for me, unfortunately. This is why I never bothered with Vermintide. I love Left 4 Dead. That was a great game back in the day. But Tilts, everything is possible by just layering and glazing, dude. Everything. Doesn't matter what it is, you can do all of that just by glazes. The airbrush just takes layering and glazing and speeds it up, makes it easier. That's all. Airbrush is a tool to make things faster and less stress. That's basically it. So that's already quite a nice standout to all the black stone that we've got there. Helps pop off against the silver a little bit as well, because it's gone from such a cold colour to something that is quite warm. We're then going to put the eyes in a very pale blue. Not blue-white, still want it to retain the blue aspect of it and not get too desaturated, but do want them to be very, very bright. Glazing metallics is a little bit different because you will split the metallic fleck out of the solution quite easily, and you have to be careful of that. Sarah, how you doing? Happy New Year to you too. I found your message welcoming me to meet your New Year's party, by the way, at about 2 in the morning, and I feel at that point either you were going to be too shit-faced or asleep. But thank you very much for your invite. We were streaming. We had a great time on stream. It was good fun. Everything scares me. It's potentially go instantly wrong. It makes me a nervous painter. So does this. If I accidentally brush this across the chest now, I've fucked it. But there's no real difference. You'll be just as careful with one as the other. And you shouldn't be afraid of an airbrush at all, because the worst thing that can happen with an airbrush, other than, don't do this, right? I dropped the needle off it rolled off the desktop while I was cleaning another part of it, and not wanting to hit the floor, I moved my thighs together to catch it on top of my legs, and I didn't react quickly enough, and I caught it between my thighs, and then one thigh went like that and pushed it right into the other one, about 3/4 of an inch deep into the meaty part of my left thigh. Motherfucker, that was painful. Just, no! First thought was, is the airbrush tip bent? It wasn't. Second thought was, oh my god, the pain. It's not a good feeling. Oh, I'm going to do the back of his head silver as well. There's a nice join where it comes up to the gold, but we'll paint the gold first, so we can get all of that bit easily, and then we paint over this bit silver. No worries, I was mullered at that point. Brilliant. Nice. Sounds like a fun one. We had great fun. We did loads of giveaways. We've given away some Rivalcraft stuff. We've done some Rivalcraft's goodie bags to go alongside the minis that we gave away this month. So both Tilts and Crater Kelp both got themselves a mini being painted by me, and then we're going to give them the Rival Crafts things we're going to use on the bases so they can replicate it themselves at home. So huge thank you to yourself, obviously, for supplying us with some product. Really enjoyed using it. Love those new lines that you've got. I have tried the pigment, like the weathering powder. That one I'm not totally sold on. I don't think it's fine enough to use it the same way that I've been using it. But we're going to give it another go and experiment a little bit more with it, just to be sure. Might have just been that I needed to adopt my approach a little. So we'll give it a fair shake. See a sneak peek of models yesterday from GW? I did. Unfortunately, I am 95% sure that is some Adeptus Titanicus stuff and not some Imperial/Chaos Knight stuff. Don't get me wrong, I would love to see a new Imperial Knight release. I really, really would. But I don't think it's on the cards. A lot of armies are getting fortifications again. GW seem to be thinking buildings are obviously something that everyone needs and wants to have in their army. And if they produce something that's better than the Sacristian Forge Shrine, maybe I'll buy it. But that Forge Shrine is completely shit. Spend a turn doing nothing so you can shoot better next turn. There is absolutely no efficiency in that play. There just isn't. And why would you, when you've already got a small army, spend points on a block of terrain that your opponent can still see through? That also makes no sense to me. Oh shit. Chaddy and Ranga, how you doing? Good to see you again indeed, mate. You know, I was thinking about this this morning. One of the best things about doing all these lessons is I'm going to have a banging set of Marines myself. Like some Shattered Legion Marines. So this, careful. This is the Blood Angel successor that we're doing in Dan's lessons. Got most of the way through the highlights on this in our lesson yesterday. It's fucking great red, that, isn't it? Busy in the back gate today? I'll bet you are. Everyone's spending their Christmas cash, wanting to get those basing products. Right, top 3 favourite GW minis. The Void Dragon is up there. The Void Dragon was what I voted for the best mini of 2020. Glad to see that came in second, because I think it's fucking amazing. Absolutely amazing. One of the best minis that they've ever produced, by far. I love the pose. I love how easy it is to paint, and yes, it truly is easy to paint. We're on our second one now, and that's just cementing my opinion. The sculpt is just something else. It's really, really well done. It's an art piece for me. So I love that. You like Primaris minis? I do too. I like all Space Marine minis, with the exception of the ATV, but now I've painted a couple myself. Once you've just done a little bit of work reposing the heads, which is almost no work whatsoever, let's be honest now, that goes a long way to stopping them looking as derpy, because they do look a bit rigid. So yeah, Void Dragon is number 1, or at least somewhere in that top 3. Let's not do them in order. I love the Leviathan, which is the big turtle. The big turtle is is just... Oh, I'd love to paint that. I really would, because there's so much that you can do. It's a beautiful canvas for putting a lot of work into. Gaz is definitely a mini I'd love to paint. I've actually had 2 people now ask me to paint one for him, and it's not a cheap paint job, because there's a lot of detail, and the mini is massive as well. And we might have one lined up for some point in the second half of this year. But yeah, he's a very, very cool model. I don't think he's one of my top 3 GW minis though. Maybe top 3 of last year. Yeah, I could see that for sure. King Kron himself, absolutely, bro. Sarek. That turquoise, this Blackstone. If you want to see how we did this, we did the YouTube video that went out on Friday. Blackstone and blades. Was Friday only yesterday? It feels like such a long time ago. But yeah, check that out on YouTube. !YouTube. You'll get a video on that. Oh, Bippo, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the stream. Wooden Spoon. Matt, how you doing, brother? Hope you had a good new year. How's things? Yeah, Blackstone and Blades, that one up on YouTube. So all my other top 2 GW minis. So the Leviathan, the Void Dragon. I really like the Nagash model. That's an amazing, amazing centerpiece. You see a lot of not brilliant versions of it, which unfortunately dampers my mood for a bit. Oh no, I know what it is. I've got one. It's behind me. It's on the shelves, and I will give 1,000 meeps to the person that can tell me what model it is. You only get one guess. You only get one guess each. So think about it. Here's the shelves. It's on those shelves. Bigature? No. The question was GW miniature, so we've got to say it's something GW produces. All right, you need to do a second coat on all of that. Gold's done well, but I can still see some brush strokes. Objective Lima, thank you for the follow. Mate, turquoise to black it's a beautiful look. You think it's good on this? Let's grab a large piece. Right. I think these are brilliant. The way they've come up, so good. We've obviously got a lot of energy and trim and everything else to do on these. They've got a lot of work left to do, but they're epic. And then how can you forget the boy himself? The Void Dragon. We've done part 1 for the Void Dragon series was painting this, the skin and the corrupted look. That's on Patreon in both PDF and video format now. But then we did the Blackstone. And we did the blades for that YouTube video. In that video, we also gave you a sneaky quick tutorial on how to paint bone-colored Necrons as well. And that one, that's worth its own video at some point, for definite. But, ooh, he's pretty. He's pretty. Blue-eyed and furry. That's my client right there. How you doing, brother? Crusader Knight? No. Promised Chapter on bike? No. No. Keeper of Secrets? Not on the shelves. I do like it. Not on the shelves. How you doing, Ben? Hoping you're liking what you're seeing. We're not doing any of the stuff. That's it. We've got his golden penis adornment. Welcome to GW in 2020, and well, since 2018, I suppose, where everything that can have some sort of vajazzle gets a vajazzle. Fuck knows why. Like, vajazzles for everyone! Iron Man, brilliant mini, but no. No. I'll give you guys a clue. It's something that you can't buy at Games Workshop unless you're very lucky and you happen to be there at the right time. It's a definite right place, right time mini. Need to research dwarf skin for the Gotrek mini. Any tips? Yeah, it's like human skin, but slightly darker and slightly like ruddier. It was just me thinking they went OTT on mini-tone ball curtains, mate. They definitely have. In fact, on this one, they've even sculpted in. You can just about see it from underneath the foliage there. He's got some of his own foliage that they sculpted bollock hair on this mini. Actual bollock hair on that guy. Well done, G-Dubs. Well done. You think you know? Okay. Okay. It's on the shelves. I'm not sure I can see him from where I'm sat right now. If I do that, I'm probably close. But yeah, House of Atkinson, the whole... Congratulations, you become a Space Marine, here's your Gravis armor and your Vajazzle. It's just... Muad'Dib, what are you doing? Let's get some hype in the stream for Muad'Dib, who is gifting even more gift subs. We've got subs to Malahad, Stinger UK, Ray 1982, Jane Zar 65, and Ethical NL. All of you guys are getting your meeps now. You'll be able to use these on the next last stream of the month, which will be the end of January now. What day and date have we got for that? It could be anything. Just look it up in a sec. There you are, guys. There's some meeps for everyone. Last stream of January is a Sunday night. Sunday the 31st. The actual last day again. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's going to be a good one. So, come on. Who's, for 1,000 meeps, who reckons they know what my third favourite GW mini is? Out of all of Games Workshop's minis. Morning all, just. Azorb, how you doing? House of Atkinson, what up? And Sinister Monkey, love those little meeps, love those little emotes rather. Not all emotes are meep, must remember. Sad though it is. Come on mate, you reckon you knew? Put your money where your mouth is. Time to lurk, stuff to do. Last guess is the Catachan Colonel. No, I really like that. I don't have it. I've got the other one. I've got the lass, Ripper Jackson. I've got her, but I didn't get Apone, Dylan. Well, we got there eventually, but. Bloodborne Minotaur, no. It's not Magnus. No, Magnus is a great miniature. Not one of my favourites. This is something a couple of times I've considered putting in the giveaway. But I can't do it. I just want this one for myself. No, I'm going to keep him. Despite the fact I'll never use him on a table. I'll give you guys another clue. It's a redo of a previous Games Workshop Mini. So it's something that had a sculpt before, and it's now had a new sculpt. Torrentus, no, but very close. Very, very close. The Torrentus model I do have on the shelf, so I nearly put him in one of the mystery boxes on New Year's. So I guess the Guitar Noise Marine, I fucking love that. He's still in about 5 bits in my cabinet here. Eventually, I'll finish painting him. He's been painted in the channel colours. We've done his guitar. I fucking love his guitar. I'll get it out in a minute. I spent a little while on this, and I absolutely adore it. We've painted him in all of the colours of our logo. So we've got the pink and blue, old 80s chrome style thing going on. And we've got a little red as well. Doing blue freehand flames on his armour. And he's just a boss. He's just a boss. I will get him finished off. I just don't know when. Abaddon's a great mini. It really, really is a great mini, but no. Not Abaddon. So this was a mini that was originally released in metal as part of the Black Templars releases, I think. Either that or not too long after. Back when Black Templars had their own codex in 3.5-ish. Jane's Art, not Jane's Art, no. Never liked any version of that mini. The new one's okay, but it's still not meh. Drazar would be cool. Empress Champion, no. Ichu, how you doing, brother? The original Emperor's Champion was really, really cool. I did like that a lot. Ended up having a couple in my BT army from back then that were converted up into various other captains and so on. Marshals, that was it, that was what they were called. Is it the Castellan? No, it's not. I don't really like the look of the Dominus Knights, which is annoying. But I also don't really like the way they play, so I don't care so much. See the statue of it? Someone has released a printer version. Oh, the Emperor's Champion one. Yes, I have. Yeah. Halbrecht. I didn't love Halbrecht. He was super static despite looking like he was meant to be moving. However, Grimaldus was fucking ace. He was so cool. Him and his retinue of people just carrying bits of a temple. Like, why not? Absolutely unnecessary, but super, super cool. And I love that proper skull face helmet he had as well. He looked so nails. He's still cool, you're right. Basie, what up? How you doing, bro? Alright, just making sure we got all this gold done. We've got a few more bits to do on his staff, but I don't want to do this handle gold because that's too much gold. We will be doing a few bits around here, but I'm going to get all of this done before we do any of that. And like I said, because of the way that that's done. It's super fragile, so it's one of the last things that we do on a mini. And I think today, just because it's Sarek, I kind of want to see this guy done. We just keep working on him rather than going on to the other Cryptex, and might do a bit on Amric here, actually. Yeah, let's do a little bit on Amric here. So we'll do the 2 bosses rather than the rest of the Triarch. There you go, it's looking very regal. All like gold. Right, let's pop him down. Actually, I'll tell you what, before we pop him down, let's grab some Dark Tone. Let's just wash all of that silver we've got on there. If I don't have him done in stock, is it worth getting it? Will it go out of production? Yes, it will. It's already out of production, mate. They're not making any more. And Indomitus is definitely worth having if you want either Marines or Necrons. In fact, even if you only want half of that, if you only want Marines or Necrons, Indomitus is definitely worth having. If you look at it from one perspective, I don't know what it's selling for an element at the moment, because obviously they didn't discount it for the initial release. But let's say it's 95 quid. In fact, my local are selling theirs for 95 quid. They had 17 coming off their second wave order, and obviously need to get through them. Well, buy it from Atlantic Games, in that case. Support my local hobby shop. Give them a quick Google and go buy Indomitus if there are any left in stock. When they announced they were selling it as cheap as they were, I shared their link in a couple of WhatsApp groups I'm in for 40k to try and help them out. This is some Dark Tone from Army Painter, which is, to my mind, the best black wash. It absolutely knocks the shit out of Known Oil. And I know everyone loves Known Oil, but use this instead. It's better. It's so much better. It doesn't coffee stain as much, so I'm putting it on all over the surface. I want to tint the surfaces. But what it won't do, which a lot of GW washes will do, is it won't clump up on random surfaces and just sit there and then become a dark blotch. It will work correctly as a wash, and it will move around on the surfaces. I've thinned it with a little bit of water because I want to reduce the effect a little bit. I still want these silver bits to be very bright. But honestly, Dark Tone is life. Army Painter washes are apart from some of their sprays, they're basically the only good hobby product they make that's a paint. Their regular paints are so thick. Dark Tone. All of their quick shade washes are something tones. A strong tone is the brown one, better than Agrax by miles. Dark Tone, purple tone, blue tone, red tone, flesh tone, whatever it might be that you want. I use their purple tone and their flesh tone on gold, and I'll show you that in a second when we get to this. We're essentially doing the washes for this while we're waiting for the gold to dry, and then we'll start doing the washes on the gold after we've done a little bit of work on Anric here over there. But Element have this in stock almost all the time. I swear they only sell as much of it as they do because of people like myself, Kenny, so Next Level Painting, and a few other guys that rate them, because you just don't see them publicized anywhere. They really are worth it though, and they're cheap as fuck. Like this pot is something like £2.50, £2.70. So it won't look that different, mate. So I'm a commission painter, and I appreciate that in this particular instance, the Silent King is being painted very different to the rest of the Necrons that I've painted for Ben, because he is not affiliated with any particular dynasty. He is, aside from his own, but he's a dynastic agent and so can be painted differently to everybody else. Lethal Styles getting a sub on. How you doing? Thank you very much for that, bro. It's not to make it more dirty, it's just to darken the metal. So I'm not looking for a dirty look. I'm looking for a darker version of the metal we're putting on. So let's wind this conversation all the way back then to some theory about what washes actually do and what glazes actually do, and the different methodologies of applying them. So if you apply a wash all over like this, rather than just hitting the recess of it, which is sometimes called a pin wash or a recess shade, GW started calling it like a soft wash or something. I think I saw in a painting article, which makes no fucking sense whatsoever, because it delineates lines in a very harsh way, so it's definitely not a soft anything. If you put it all over, yes, it will run into the recesses. However, it will also sit on the surface that you've painted. And at that point, it becomes what is known in the art world as a filter. And one of the best ways to think about that is if you were sat with a load of coloured bits of film in front of you. Let's say you had like it's fucking Christmas, so Quality Streets, right? Those little sweets with the plastic wrappers, and you've got these little bits of coloured cellophane. And imagine you had that in almost every colour of the rainbow. And you wanted to change the colour of a miniature. So here's Anric here. And we've done a little bit of a filter on him, where we've changed the colour of the silver we put down. Instead of going, these two were both done with the same workup. Right. This guy on the left had dark tone, thinned down and painted all over it. Anric here on the right had a mixture of blue wash and dark tone painted over the top of him. And because of that, we've put a blue filter over his armour. Yes, it's sunk into the recesses a lot more predominantly than on the surfaces of the armour, but every surface here has an ever so slight blue tint to it. In fact, you can just about see it on the leg here. If we move that around, you can see where we're getting that blue come from. The basic way to think about filters is if we took this model and it was just silver and we hadn't done any work to it, and you had a piece of very fine blue cellophane in front of it and look through it, you would see this kind of look to it. You'd get that ever so slight blue part. So when you do a wash, you have to make the decision at the point where you're doing the wash, am I looking to change the hue of this color, of this miniature, i.e. the colour? Am I looking to push it one way or another? Or do I just want to make the shadows darker? If you just want to make the shadows darker, generally the best thing to do is a pin wash. So just wash inside all these recesses, for instance, which is exactly what we've done with our Blackstone. That's why all of these recesses stand out next to the nice flat areas around it. Alternatively, maybe you want to change the colour of something, the hue, ever so slightly. And I'll show you that in a bit more of an example on the gold. I'll tell you what, we'll stick to this guy. We'll leave Anric here out for a bit. We'll stick to this guy, and I'll show you the way that we're going to tint and just put a filter over our gold. We're going to do it twice. And the first thing I'm going to paint over our gold is, believe it or not, purple. And it works super, super well for gold. But you have to make that decision when you apply a wash to something. I want to take the gunmetal that we've got on the miniature, darken it down even further. It's already a fairly dark but still shiny metallic, so that when I come in with my highlights on it in a bit, I can go 2 steps up but still have it look relatively natural. I don't want it to suddenly be this gargantuan step change come out of nowhere, because then it will look too glossy. Nalindi! Hey, hey! How are you, darling? Hope you had a great Christmas and New Year and all that jazz. How are you? And thank you for that host. Best to DM me on Discord to remind you about being a Patreon channel on Discord. Are you not in it? Okay, I need to assign your role. Did you associate your Patreon account with your Discord account? That's the first thing. So if you didn't, go and do that. Right, cool. That's all that washed. Now let's start with the gold. So I'm just saying, talking about filters and how we change the hue of something by applying a wash. Well, there you go, Tilts. That's the thing. So we've got purple tone, and we've got flesh wash. Oh, it's called flesh wash, not flesh tone. There you go. We're going to wash our gold with purple. And anyone that's not seen this before is going to think I've lost my mind. If, you know, the rest of this hadn't persuaded you enough of that already. You know, you're not here. Okay. Yes, love. Can you do some admin with a sound off and deep lurk? Well, look, you enjoy that lurk. Let's get a shout out for Nalindi. Oh, no mods. Bloody Desmondo. There you go. She is a total boss. Having a personal wall with pigment control. By that, do you mean like getting to sit in the right places? Or do you mean it's just not coming out the way you want it to? Like, give me a bit more info and I'll see if I can help you out, bro. Right, so I'm taking a little bit of water, but only enough to help this flow. And here's our purple painted all over our gold. I'm going to do every single bit of gold. We're going on relatively heavy with this as well. Obviously, we're going to make sure we get no real pooling in the recesses. But all of just the little details on here, absolutely fine to have those made super dark. We're just looking to ensure that this isn't happening quite so much. So just go with the brush and just suck that out with the capillary action of the brush. But we're putting this purple all over the surface of our gold because we want to change the overall look of the gold. It's going to give us the darkest possible recesses as well. But if I let this dry and we didn't do any other parts of the gold, I could show you the comparison between the two. I'm not going to, unfortunately, because I do want to make sure that we've got a solid bit of work done on this mini today. And while I'm all about the education side of things, you will just have to take my word on this. Take a screenshot. There you go. Take a screenshot of this bit of gold now, and then at the end of it. There's pooling in some spots on straight surfaces, makes them spotty. Right, that is a telltale sign of when not to use a wash, basically. The Games Workshop washes are very bad at that. Essentially, and bear in mind, I'm not any kind of like paint scientist, as Kenny would put it, but everything that I know I've learned by just sort of experimentation and just sitting down and thinking logically about why things happen. The GW washes, I imagine, don't have quite so much of like a... This isn't the right word for it, like an anticoagulant in it. Whereas these don't click together, they don't sort of come back up to sort of filter a big blotchy area. However, large flat surfaces are not the thing to put a wash and paint it all over, because unless you're extremely diligent with going back in and making sure all of those little pools of paint, like we've still got going on down here, are just sort of picked up with your brush, that's going to happen regardless. So if you need to filter the surface of a large mini like that, it's better to do it with an airbrush if you've got one. Alternatively, you need to thin the living fuck out of those washes and put them on over maybe 4 or 5 coats. Otherwise, you're going to get that, or you're going to get some brush strokes. What mini is it you're painting, dude? Also, sometimes you will want wash to pool. So like this here. What I've done is I've manipulated the wash by using the surface area that we've got and just the capillary action to just sort of pull it into place. So we've got a shadow inside that section. That's going to give us a natural gradient coming top to bottom as the gravity just pulls the wash into the place. But otherwise, it'll still give us a nice tint all over. How do you thin a wash? I thin mine with water, mate. Very rarely I use a wash medium, but I think I've used that maybe twice this year. And it's been because a specific project needed something done a specific way. So yeah, you've got easy access to water at your tap, mate, I'm sure. That's all I've thinned this wash with. You don't need to buy expensive mediums and things at all. If you go too far with water, it can break the solution a little bit and just separate everything you've got. But just add a little at a time and ensure that you don't do that. I've completely forgotten to paint the silver on the back of this guy's head. Do that next. Also making sure as well that this wash goes into this little recess just here between the two. Purple and jade, or green, obviously contrast really well off each other. And so you'll get that nice little bit of separation in there as well. Bloody Rainas, thank you for the follow, dude. Just on my first box, start to collect Slaves to Darkness. Nice! Nice, there's some cool minis in there, mate. I like the old Chaos Warriors. They look sick. Alright, okay, good. Let's get those shoulders. And because this is a larger area with some flat surfaces, thinning this down ever so slightly more than I just was. Notice how that's now completely changed the look of this area. Yeah, obviously it's very shiny, it's very wet, it looks glossy at the moment, but that and that, super different. Paint your first mini. Okay, dude. Look, ask away. We're a channel that is devoted to helping people learn. Essentially, I've been a mini painter for more than 20 years, with a couple of breaks thrown in there for when we discovered things like girls and booze. And my entire goal is to take the 20 years of experience that I've got, where back in the old days, no one would tell you anything about miniatures at all. No one would. Because they were going to try and win Golden Demon, and they needed to have all of the secret technologies that they could possibly have to try and give them an advantage and an edge, and so they wouldn't teach how to paint. Back here to paint uphill both ways. Liang, you don't even know the hobby, but you're absolutely right, dude. That's how it feels. So, it's making sure that you guys don't have to go through years of trial and error like I did just to get something that looks okay at the end of the day. And as a first mini, that's a cool mini to do. With Space Marines, I'll tell you what, actually, mate, this will be a great video for you, but only like the second half of it. I do a lot of airbrush work, and as someone that's painting their first minis, that's not something that you should really be looking into. Probably not even for the first several months to a year of painting minis should you really start looking into that, unless it's something that you are really embracing as a hobby. But I did a YouTube video on how to paint Dark Angels, and if you estimate put in YouTube, go and subscribe over there and give that video a watch after the stream. The first parts are all airbrushed highlights, and then we do a section where we do oil washes on stuff and a cleanup. And that bit again is not overly helpful because you're probably using acrylics. However, the technique of getting your oil washes in the recesses and showing you how to do recess shades is still quite useful. And then the following technique of how to do some highlights, which is all just done with acrylic paint, could be very, very useful for you. So definitely a good one for most people to watch. My Automatus and Star Pulse Cadre boxes are over 100 monsters on their own without any. Let's not talk about Piles of Shame. I've got 3,500 points worth of Necrons that aren't even assembled yet. That's a future J project. There's the filter caught the first message. So 2 messages. Filter got 1, and then it came through again. And I managed to just like bin that one off myself. So right, back of his head. We're gonna paint. And then we need to give this a quick wash as well. So grab the hair dryer, dry this guy down. We'll be doing a couple of videos on how to paint Blood Angels in very, very late January or early February. We've got a Blood Angels commission to do. Doing the entire Indomitus box Blood Angels side for one of the guys in Discord. So you've got some Outriders, some Eradicators, some characters. Looking super forward to that. Hey, no worries, bro. Good luck. Good luck. Wedding metallics always look shit hot, amazing on the first coat. Because I'm me, basically. That's it. You know. It's because I've got amazing post-production that happens during production. So it's just production, I guess. Don't know. It's because I use the ramp metallics. This, fucking great. And it needs almost no thinning because it's already quite thin being an air paint. So it brushes on like a fucking dream. The scale stuff did need 2 coats this time around. Because we've got some flatter, wider areas on this. I wanted to eradicate all those brush strokes, but otherwise, you know, goes on really, really easy. Just using the hairdryer, drying all that down so we can get our second wash coat on, and to show you the difference between these golds from where you saw it the first time round and where you're going to see it now with that filter over the top. Might have to raid Mikey later. We might have to raid Mikey. It depends. He's playing Dawn of War. So, depends on whether people want to keep to hobby or watch some old school video games. Also depends how long he's on for, because we've got another 2 hours or so of stream minimum. Right, but there's that gold. And there's a massive change in how this looks now in terms of its overall colour than it was before. And that's where that purple wash has come in. This is not the colour we want our gold to finish up though. And so we're taking our flesh wash. We're going to do another all over wash for all of that gold. This is just the way I paint what I call good guy gold. So why am I painting a bad guy with my good guy gold recipe? Well, it's mostly because my client fucking loves this colour gold. I did it on his Ghost Arcs to keep everything nice and warm. I didn't want to go too dark or too cold with it on those because all the purple and the bone just lent itself to having this colour gold on it. And on the pylon we did for him, so there's a pylon that you'll see in here every now and again. And his Ghost Arcs, actually. Are you not having fun with your Ghost Arc, Danny? I saw a message saying you had a brilliant idea you could do both, but you know. 5 AM! Oh, fuck that noise, man. You go get some sleep. Take care, bro. Take care. Right, so look at it now. Now let's put this flesh wash on and notice how this absolutely comes to life instantly. Look at those recesses now. That's a very, very different colour and finish to that. This looks cold. Still antique, but cold. This looks warm, full of luster. And this is why we're painting this all over the surface. This is a wash that we've put on to influence all of our shadows, to get all our detail pulled out, but also to change fundamentally the way that you view that gold, the way that light behaves with it, and obviously interacts with our eyes. We've changed the surface of that gold to give it a particular feel to it. Might do my Dominatus Marines Emperor Spears, try out freehand you had. Yeah, man, go for it. I ended up doing the shoulder insignia freehand because unfortunately, I don't know where they are. I lost the fucking transfers literally the night before. I had them and then they were gone. So I have no idea what happened to them, but never mind. I don't mind freehand. And I felt like a bit of a fucking cop-out doing the decal anyway, to be honest. So I'm kind of glad it happened. Equally, I thought a 20-minute job of just getting the decals down, revarnish the Marine, finish the base off, became an hour and 20-minute job. But meh. It's all good. Love that freehand. Ben and I talked a little bit about freehand on this guy's cloak last night, and it's not happening. But we were trying to work out a way of getting it to have a particular sort of look and feel, and we're going to have to abandon that plan, unfortunately. But just through time constraints, to do what we wanted to do, it would be a lot of work. But Marines are just easy to paint, mate. This is one of the reasons why GW sells so many of them. I know that among competitive players there's that whole, well look, the rules are really good, so that's why they sell so many, and so on and so forth. But one of the reasons they sell so many is because all of the non-competitive players, like Little Timmy is my example child for everything, by the way. Little Timmy will go and pick up some Marines because they look cool, and because he knows that he can put them together easily. He knows he can paint them easily and make them look cool, so when he shows his mum, she might be impressed. And so Marines are just cool. I really want a Marine army. I refused to get one while they were still kings of the meta, and they still are. So I don't have to worry about it soon, but, you know. Yes, Airwolf, definite vibes, mate. Definite vibes. So there we go. Now we've got gold. It's looking much more bright. And we haven't even done any highlights yet. But if you're in a rush, you could definitely leave it at this stage. And you'd feel okay about it too. I am Little Timmy, but I'm a 34-year-old. Hey man, we all had to start somewhere. You know, you're not that little. Well, you know, in your case, Big Timmy. How's that for Miss Tree Box emote? Lay. Great. That's fantastic, mate. I need to get one sorted out. I'll speak to Jake if I can. That just appeared, didn't type it. Wow. That's crazy. Is it possible to repaint? Yes, it is. Just you might have to essentially repaint after stripping the model, unless you've put down extremely thin coats beforehand, and then you'll be okay to just paint over it. Right, need to do a couple of quick washes on the Ankh here, which we forgot about the first time round. Any negative effects on it? Yeah, you can lose detail. You definitely can. And depending on whether previous you or previous owner, whoever it might have been careful with that initial coat of paint, that could be a lot of detail, or it could be only a very, very small amount of detail that you lose. It could also be that you're repainting over cracked primer and things like that, where it's not been looked after properly, if it's an eBay rescue. There's a guy that does a YouTube channel all about eBay rescues, and I can't watch it because some of the shit that he finds on eBay literally makes me cringe. Yes, mate, gunmetal. Metal, gunmetal. This is about the 4th time we've covered this, Danny. So, you know, Are we done with that now? A lot of sickness and metal stuff, but I bought the Incursus practice painting. The plastic is much easier to paint over than metal. And it's certainly a lot easier to paint over than resin. Definitely even more so when it comes to things like fine cast or forge weld. Yes, they do, mate. You want the Model Air Metallic gunmetal. That's the 5th time for those keeping score at home now. And I'm taking bets that he still buys the wrong one. Any takers on that? It's heavily weighted in my favour, you know. Vikings. Oh, Danny, we love you, bro. We do. Puts me in more pressure to do good first time. Right. Okay. Let's all stop for a minute. What happens if you fuck up a paint job? What happens? What's the worst thing that happens right then? Nothing. Absolutely, Viking. 100%. Nothing. It doesn't matter. You're not trying to solve world peace. You know, you're not trying to solve world hunger. None of these things, right? You just repaint it. Your wife leaves you. Well, fucking done. Hang on a minute. Is that an incentive to fuck up models? Like, just, you know. But there is no reason one of your mates sleep with your mum. I mean, they're welcome to if they want, but like a grilled cheese down. Nothing that you do on this miniature really matters, okay? Doesn't matter if you make mistakes, and you should never feel pressure to avoid making mistakes. End of the day, it's a toy soldier, and unless, like me, you're doing this for a business, this is for a client, therefore it has to match their specifications, don't worry about it. I'm a professional painter. I have been painting for over 20 years. I've been running a commission painting business now for 4 years. And I fuck up all the time. Yeah, I got a little bit of silver on his arm earlier on. Managed to scrub that one away pretty quickly. Happy little accidents, that's a good way of looking at it. But don't stress about it. Don't get anxious about it. Roman LaPlatte is someone that everyone should try and sort of look at his ethos a little bit and emulate some of that. He paints for the sheer joy of painting. So he doesn't get stressed about it, he doesn't get anxious about it. And yes, he's an award-winning artist, but think about the road he took to get there. If everything he painted was something that he just wanted to paint, and he wanted to do a good job of it, but do it his way, he just sort of followed his own path and kept working at it until he got to the point where everything looked okay for him. If I put, by accident, a big gold mark down this breastplate, which I'm not going to do, but if I do that, then I just paint some of this teal colour all over it and get rid of that gold mark. Done. If when I'm airbrushing this up here, the mask that I've put on the rest of the model slips and I somehow airbrush turquoise all over his face, I'm going to be annoyed. Then I'm going to laugh at it straight away, and then I just repaint that part of the mini. Done. So don't don't fret. Don't worry. Don't let it get to you. Painting and doing something creative, honestly, and I really mean this, honestly has saved my life. Because without having this outlet, I was slowly slipping into a bit of a dark place. I didn't know I was until I found my way out of it by picking up a paintbrush. So, you know, don't stress. It's okay. And like has been said a couple times in the chat, House of Atkinson is absolutely spot on here. You learn more from mistakes than you do from success. It's that whole you either win or you learn moment, right? If you want feedback on your mini, take some photos, put them in the work in progress gallery, either during a stream or not. I try and keep an eye on it, even when we're not streaming. But if I'm not streaming, I'm normally hard at work, or taking one of those rare couple of hours where I chill, or those slightly rarer couple of hours where I sleep, you know. And you know, we'll get back to you with some feedback. The best time to do a whip shot though is obviously during the stream, because we review them all at the end. We learned a lot from Jail at how to make sure the lid's not swimming before you shake it. Absolutely, absolutely. If you don't want a white splash all over the front of your jeans, keep that white ink sealed before you shake it. Right, let's go back to our gold. So we've got all our washes down, but I want to darken down the face even more, because by the time we get bright blue around the eyes, excuse me, I still need this sense of menace. So despite the fact we've got a load of washes on there that have not quite dried, actually, need to make sure we get those nice and fully dry by the time we start painting. We're going to come back in and just influence areas here with some of those washes. Now this is us using the wash as a glaze. How to stop a crow from pecking out your eyes. That's the best one. Kawahiri, how you doing, brother? Good to see you, man. I know Saturday streams are much easier for you to get into. So what we're doing now is what ladies have started calling contouring when they put on some slab. We're using the wash and we're sort of stippling it in place to help darken down the areas and give more of a sense of shadow to specific points on the face, which obviously also gives the effect of more highlights by looking at its obvious inverse. So we make this area darker just in here under the cheek sort of bone, I guess. It makes all of these areas look brighter by comparison. So we're going to find a few areas like that where we can darken down the face. Nemard! Here's to a great 2021. Let's hope so, bro. I was still waiting for those Walking Dead moments where we get to the doors of 2021 and it just says don't open, dead inside. But 2 days in, so far the world hasn't exploded. Let's take that as a good sign. I'm going to darken down the point of the chin, I think, as well. So again, we're just dropping a bit of that wash on there, using a bit of a stippling pattern to sit it right in between the two sides of it. So just starting there in the middle. Change our colour a little. And I also want to do the temples. So you can see we're just leaving a little bit of that wash just on the surface there. It's just influencing what we've got. Let's see with the purple, we come back in with a flesh wash, basically do this again over the top. I do want to let these cure fully though, and so what we'll do is we'll go and work on Anric here a little bit, get some base coats down on him. There we go. So building those shapes. Just a little bit more definition this way. Let's pop him down for a bit. Any rules on colours to use faction-wise? God. Yes and no. If you want to paint Ultramarines and you want your Space Marines to be Ultramarines exactly like that, then paint them exactly like that. Such that the armour is blue, the shoulder pads are whatever company trim that you want, and they have little uniform marks on and all that. Otherwise, make it up as you go along. Like, there is no official Games Workshop art like that or like that. But this guy looks sick as fuck, and the previous guy was one of the favourite things I painted last year, so don't worry. Kawahiri, congratulations. Are you a physicist or a rocket scientist? Brown tone for pin washing, a red Primaris Tech Marine. Yep, strong tone works really, really well for that. We had a conversation about that the other day where people were recommending purple, and that's a solid choice. Purple's a great wash for red. But remember, and we've talked about this seems to be the theme of today, is colour hue being shifted by what's in the recesses and by what's being filtered over the top of it. Remember, if you use purple, you will pick some of that up. Alright? So you're doing Ultramarines, you've got a blue shoulder symbol, shoulder pad field to do. Purple's not necessarily a bad shout because it ties the blue and the red together. Brown, I think, works in many more situations than purple. Black works in even less situations than purple. Can be a bit too much, but you know, do what you feel. You can make Slave Star like Hello Kitty. You absolutely can if you want, bro. We've threatened to do a Hello Kitty Marine. You haven't done it yet. But you control your hobby. That's the main thing to remember here. There was a point when 8th edition first came out that Games Workshop actually said, if you want to use the rules for Ultramarines, you have to paint your army as Ultramarines. And as far as I'm concerned, that's a solid no. And they recanted that pretty quickly. Even their own tournaments at Warhammer World, they stopped doing it. Because it's absolutely not right, I don't think. That being said, I kind of hate it when you have people... It's only because I hate the mindset of this player. I have a friend. He's a decent guy. He really is. And if you're listening, this is not personal. You know that, and you know me. But he will play whatever is the best army in the meta at the time. And it's got a reasonably decently painted Iron Hands army. Now they've got every single bit of Iron Hands paint scheme on there, correct? The only thing they don't have is the mailed fist. That's all. And so they're obviously Iron Hands. Except currently they're obviously Salamanders, and I imagine that they're currently obviously Blood Angels. And so on. And I hate that. Because you look at it and you identify that's definitely an Iron Hand. Or it's blue with gold shoulder pads and U's on it. That's definitely an Ultramarine. Or this guy, definitely a Dark Angel. You know, these things. And that guy could be anything from that shot, but he's definitely Ravenwing. I think at that point, you kind of... There's an expectation that you play it as the chapter you've played it at, that you've painted it as, because your opponent shouldn't have to look at it and go, okay, cool, your chapter tactic's this, which means I can do it. Oh shit, no, it's not that. It's this instead because you're not this color. You're this color now, and that shouldn't be allowed. Anytime where you've made your opponent's life harder in a sort of arbitrary fashion like that, I think is bad sportsmanship more than anything else. Which I'm against. I'd rather everyone was a good sport at the table. Play hard, play to win, you know. But be a good sport. No one likes a cunt. Is that repost Overlord? It is. This is an Overlord with a lot of work done. The head from the Catacomb Command Barge. And parts of the skirt from a Royal Warden. And then the War Scythe head is also from the Catacomb Command Barge. This is a pretty close approximation of Untitled Traveler. Tachyon arrow, war scythe, head with a big old blade all over it. Kind of close, right? Just a physicist, though. I believe I could get a job as a rocket scientist. Awesome. Engineering is like physics light. I've seen enough Big Bang Theory to understand that one. What's your field, dude? Should be forced to play a certain chapter if the chapter you paint them as a BA should be BA, not I agree. Zen, how you doing, bro? If it walks like a duck and looks like a duck, then it must be a dragon. Yes. It's dinner. I mean, possibly. Possibly. How you doing, bro? Also, let me, while I've got a lot of you guys on, just double check my calendar. So, currently, I only have 2 lessons booked for this month. One Monday evening and one Friday evening. And there's enough of you guys in the chat right here that are student and masterclass members of Patreon that need to book your painting lessons in. So if you need that calendar link, let me know in Discord, send me a DM, and I will send it to you after the stream, which is going to be in about an hour and 45. During my time, I try to focus a lot on general relativity. If I get to grad school and there's something I've seen happen, I'm specific focus. Nice. Nice. Alright, that was a little thin. I'm just going to look real shit. Let's call this fun. It's not my... It's my conversion. I've done the work for it, but it wasn't my original idea. This was some dude on Facebook that Ben saw, the minions, immediately thinking, right, well, Amrik is super strong right now if I'm running Novok, which is the one that gives you the extra attack on the charge, or when you were charged, I think. And so running blobs of 20 warriors that have 60 attacks is actually relatively significant. If you also have the Silent King, which obviously we're painting for Ben. So he's going to be able to run a pretty nightmarish list. This is something that Siegler's been running with pretty good effect. And this is a very, very solid way to run Silver Tide. Personally, not that I've played many games, unfortunately, with the whole apocalypse and everything. I still think that Ultra OBSEC, and more importantly, it's the OBSEC on my Scarabs. That's the bit I really care about. I think that's better, but that's because I come from a background playing Knights where I have absolutely no OBSEC, and I'm fed up of losing objectives, and therefore quite frequently almost losing games. Yes, I'm arrogant enough to say that. Message seen, and yep, gotcha. Week on Monday. Please don't die for this lesson, right? Give Knights OBSEC, yes. Yes, absolutely, without having to be Imperial and let us stay Mechanicus. To be honest, give Machine Spirit Resurgent to all factions of Knights. And yeah, even Chaos ones at that point. I don't see why Chaos can't have like Demon Spirit takes over or whatever and pilots the vehicle. I don't know, you can call it something chaosy enough, I'm sure. But yeah, give Knights OBSEC. To be fair, with the amount of obsec things that are going in books as houses and so on, whether it's a chapter, a dynasty, or whatever it might be, there's a lot of here's your obsec version of your traits that you can have for your army, or here's your obsec relic that you can give everything obsec to, including yourself, because you're a character, and that's really obnoxious. There's enough of that going on that I imagine we'll get some version of it, but I still don't think it's going to be any more than a relic or a house choice. And at that point, you're going to have to make that decision between taking Krast, if Krast is the same still. And if you're playing Knights now, you should be playing Krast. There is no alternative. I've played Krast since the book dropped. And that's a big part of the reason why we've won tournaments and have the trophies and so on. Krast is super good. Rerolling all hits, failed hits, in the first round of combat means that my Gunboat Knights become multi-roll. And a Krast Crusader is almost as good as any other house's Gallant. It's a no-brainer for me. There's absolutely no reason to not take Krast. Although, I don't take Headsman's Mark. Certainly now you've got to declare everything on your data sheets for your army list, sorry. Before you go to an event, you can't rely on it enough. I've had to live with that for a little while at the Hellstorm events. Mikey's always said you have to put everything on your sheet. And after a bit of a moan from players like myself, it went from you have to put down your relics and warlord traits to you have to put down everything. So all your psychic powers, lock, stock, the lot, because he wouldn't shift one way, so we asked him to shift the other. And that's now how Ninth is. You just have to do that. There's no two ways about it. So, right, we've got his helmet to do gold. Let's have a quick look back at our. Then you got a couple of details on the war scythe and this chest thing to do. This brush is finally giving it the ghost. There we go. Put down a couple of hairs from it that snapped and bent. We're on about month 5 of this brush though. It's lasted us a long time. I want to run Knight / Pointy Knights in 2021, but a certain someone isn't painting them, and neither is Jay. Hey, I am painting them, dude. They're on the list of things to do. It's just that's probably looking like April. Is it, how many Halbrins is it? It's 7. I can't remember. But you're in the queue, dude. 4. Okay, cool. 4 for now. All right, sweet. It's getting better that way, in my opinion. Which part of the conversation are we at with that? Oh, the putting stuff on your list. Yeah, I agree. Insert time zone, Mohawk. How you doing? Like it, dude. It's currently good afternoon over here. See, I don't mind putting everything on the list because I like having to make. I like it when the game forces intelligent decision making and intelligent list writing. So having to actually come up with a good all-comers list is what everyone should be writing their list for. Or writing the anti-meta list is the other one. So there's 2 styles of list writing. If you know that the meta is full of one thing, and it could be not just, like, there's local metas and there's global metas. So global meta is obviously Space Marines super strong. Nerf apothecaries, Plix. There's that. The logo thing is blue on this guy, right? The Mohawk Zone, okay, Danger Zone. Oh God, I nearly went batshit at my missus a couple of weeks back. She sent me a message. It was first thing in the morning. All right. I hate, with a passion, the noise that mobile phones make. The beep beep and all that. It fucks me off. So every phone I have had for the last 15 years has lived on silent. I can't even remember what it sounds like. But for my better half, then I will make the concession of allowing it to make a noise when she sends me a message or calls me. You know, I think that's fair. And so she sent me a message. She said, Jay. And I replied back, what? What's up? You okay? And another one, Jay. And then it kept going. And she sent me like 7 messages, which is Jay. I'd woken up, I hadn't even got to the shower yet. And the thing that wakes me up in the mornings is having a shower. I love the taste of coffee. I don't need caffeine to wake up. I need a hot shower. Then I'm awake, I'm alive, I can face the day. I was about to reply back with, what the fuck do you want? You're pissing me off. And I just got a message that went, Danger Zone. And at that point, it was okay. It was fucking annoying still. It was like, oh God, you got me so bad. That's when I knew she's a keeper. Pain in my ass. She's a keeper. Writing a good all-comers list is part of the reason Marines are so strong. Apothecaries, Eradicators, and ATVs are the other. Well, they're good all-comer choices. The real reason that Marines are so strong is because they've had 2 9th edition codexes and a load of supplements to boost their 9th edition codexes, whereas most other armies, in fact almost all other armies, haven't had a 9th edition army list. Codex, rather. So the Marine Codex 2.0 in 8th, the way to look at that was actually a 9th edition codex, because it changed the game quite dramatically for Marine players. And they were playing a game that suddenly nobody else was. All of the supplements, the rules stacked on rules, nobody else had that. And I still think that the whole supplement thing, whilst it's cute and it stops you having Codex White Scars and Codex Blood Angels, and it helps keep everything on one like easy to monitor keel and easy to keep up with, as soon as you start adding extra rules to stuff, it's difficult, you know. That's great. That's great. I love that, Kawahiri. But it's not reading the chat. Saw a meme the other day. Child, Mommy, you drink coffee every morning. Will you die if you don't drink coffee? Mom, no. I won't die if I don't drink coffee. You might. Love it. Love it. You win the chat today, sir. You win the chat. Oh, by the way, did you get your Inceptor? Yeah. Because Viking's still waiting for his, and I'm really hoping that the Danish Post haven't completely killed that parcel. Joke about running 3-6 Eradicate, etc. I tend to run a mix of units to make it kind of fluffy. But they're extremely strong, and they will get a nerf when the next new Marine thing comes out. That's it. I'm very pleased my missus doesn't want kids and it's buying the wrong colour stuff. Absolutely, dude. Yeah, there's no color codes on any child's shirts and clothes and things, you know, Vallejo have really made it easy for you. As long as you've been told 6 times at least, you know, then it's straightforward. I don't know why you're asking about the paint, mate. It's not like you're going to use it much. When are you going to paint that diorama that you've been working on for however long you've been subbed for? How long have you been following since April 14th? So since April, you've been painting that diorama. And so far, you've done lots of work on the base. Oh, that was a burn. Give that man some directions and some anti-burn cream. Run Danny under the tap. Best thing about that burn though was that it's actually pretty accurate. When did it come out? Mate, that was pre-lockdown. That might even have been last year. I don't know. Could have been very, very early this year, but it might have been last year. You got it the other day? Awesome, dude. Excellent. I'm super glad. I'm super, super glad. Viking, there's hope for you yet. Apparently it just takes 8 years to turn up. That's all. August. What, this year? Really? Oh, sorry, my bad. I'm thinking about the undead things that you're painting on, not the main bulk of the model. Yeah, my bad, totally. Yeah, Kyria might have been August. Yeah. Gumpalina. Proper rinsed. Alright, we better go back and do some more work on Sarek in a second. Those washes should have had plenty of time to cure down. There's a difference, remember guys, between paint being dry, where the surface is dry, and paint being cured, which is when it's dry all the way through. Now, it will take probably more than this length of time, but certainly by now I should be able to work on it without worrying too much about the surface being dry and the underside not, and peeling up some of those washes. This is of course a hell of a centerpiece model, so it needs to be spot on. There you go. You can see we've got these darker areas now around the temple, just underneath the cheekbones there, bringing some more of that shape to the face. That's right, would have been July. Yeah. Yeah, you have to watch the VOD. There was even like, whoa now, in caps in the chat. He got super defensive. Right, let's work on the loincloth, get that all done and out of the way. So now we're applying some highlights. Now because we've changed our gold so much with those 2 washes we put down, we can go back to using the same gold we used for our base for our first highlight. And what this does for us is give us a very natural progression through. It's going to look really bright, it's going to look really good, and it's going to look like it's actually all gold, rather than if you were to come in with just a brighter version of a gold. So I know GW has loads of different golds, and so does every other company out there. Rather than just taking the next step up and applying your first highlight, by going back on with the original one, we stop there being this massive step change. So a step change is where you've gone from like step 1, put your base coat down, to step 2, and so on. And you don't want that to happen very often. There are certain times when that's exactly what you want, and you want to go through a color progression very quickly. When you're blending red into yellow, for instance, you want to get the orange part of it kind of out the way super fast. Just been attacked with an ad. Sorry about that, dude. I don't think I did anything. I know Twitch will occasionally run ads, and if you guys want to use ad blocker, I honestly don't care. Completely feel free. I don't care about ad revenue at all. I'd much rather you guys got to enjoy the stream rather than whatever bollocks gets thrown your way. I think I'm done with GW Paints. I don't know what is worse, their pots or transferring from them. Their pots, because if their pots weren't as bad, you wouldn't have to transfer it. There are still a lot of GW paints that I use. I've got one on my desk at the moment, Cavalite Green. It's a great colour. There's a couple of really clutch GW paints. I know I shit on their stuff quite a lot because, not through any animosity, but anyone that's new to the hobby, you come into it and Games Workshop is normally your exposure to the hobby, and this is why Warhammer has gotten so big, is because that's your way in. You associate everything to do with the hobby with that company, so it's very hard to deviate away from their paint lines and to deviate away from their tools and glues and everything else, because when you think, I need to go and get something for my toy soldiers, you automatically think, I'm going to Games Workshop, rather than I'm going to go to a different game store where I can look at other companies' examples of XYZ. For instance, Scale Metallics. Their golds are amazing. I haven't used the Vallejo liquid metal stuff, so the alcohol-based paints yet. And I can see why people use those and go through the hassle and the headache. Sometimes literal headache. But this gold, look at that. You will not get this gold from GW. They have one good gold, and it's not as good as this. So don't be too blinkered by their products. You know, learn to move away from them a bit. Thanks to their pots, it's just how would you like to waste your paint? Yeah, basically. Can't believe that sucks. But by all means, honestly, guys, you can all like ad block my stream. I have no issues with it whatsoever. Even if ad revenue is the biggest part of my revenue, which it isn't, like, I'm very transparent with stuff like this. Even if it was, I'd still encourage you guys to ad block it if you didn't want to see the ads. The whole point of the stream is to see the painting. If we had ad breaks that were scheduled, I guess maybe it'd be different, but we don't. So, oh, nice, Rebelson. Awesome. Oh, if you're subbed, you don't get ads. Oh, I didn't know that. What about decent metallic for guns? I can't think of one, mate. There's probably one out there. It's probably called Metal Guns or something. Other than that, I can't really help you, dude. You have to do some look for yourself. I did wonder why you were so passionate about that Gumballina. Right, now let's do all of the interesting part of Sarek. This we're not going to highlight with this pass. We're going to wait for our second highlight pass before we do that. So, for this great big horn that he's got down in the middle of his head, we're going to highlight towards the bottom of it. Because we want to draw people into the face. And so if we make this bit down here brighter, and get some highlights going up the sides of it, that will help dramatically. We can also see where this little pool of thinner wash ended up. Also get a highlight in here to draw us in from the side a little. And we've done a little bit of a volumetric highlight, so just here at the bottom. And then we've just got this one little stripe that reaches right through to the other side, like so. And just help separate that, give it some shape. We're also obviously going to highlight up the back side of this. This is a very reflective surface, so therefore it needs to have a few more highlights than normal. I'm going to go a little bit further over on this side, so still using the same technique, using the edge of the tip of the brush. By changing the angle of the model, we get more pressure on this one side than we do on, say, the back side of it. So you can see that corner gets real bright just there, but then it's quite dark here. So again, we're going to change the facing a little bit more just to get more of a highlight on this side. Normally I'd want to attack this from the other angle, but obviously we've got the rest of that blackstone crown going on there. It's difficult to reach there. But there we go. Now we've got a line on this edge as well, as being right on the tip of that corner. You can see as we go around here, just gets that nice bit of shine. When you paint the wall glaive, where that was from the mystery box, very soon I need to assemble it. In a very, very rare occurrence, I took yesterday off. Did a little bit of work assembly-wise on the Dark Angels Ravenwing bike, but the wall glaive and the Blood Bowl Minotaur will both be painted on stream once they're assembled. Blood Bowl Minotaur, because it's a Forge World thing, I need to wash the resin as well. And I still need to know how we're painting the Armiger, like specifically what faction. I know you said paint it as whatever I want that would help with some Patreon content or YouTube content. And if I think of something, then I'll definitely put that up there. But if we're doing Loyalist or Chaos, that's going to inform a lot of my decisions for it. Pink / Emperor's Children could do. Oh, Gumballina, they're absolutely never ever going to switch dropper bottles. I wish they would too, the Balance Lost Arms, but they won't do it. How many fucking Reddit posts or Facebook posts or whatever have you guys seen of like, oh, I had an oil spill today and there's Nuln Oil all over somebody's desk? What kind of cock have you got to be to sit there looking at it, then take a photo, rather than just cleaning it the fuck up? That I don't understand at all. People, I guess. But regardless, let me show you what happens when I knock over my Army Painted Darktone. I have to try to get that bit out. You know, if I took the lid off and shook it, maybe a different thing would happen. But even that would be nowhere near as catastrophic as doing it with Games Workshop paint or some white Dalarani ink. Can confirm. So I don't know why I'm ever so slight. I think I'm just sat in a different position. You had Druchii Violet legs once. Brilliant. No. That'll just sit there and blend into the black void of the chopping board. getting a nice edge highlight around those bits of gold. And all we're really looking to do is to ensure that we've still got this nice, rich, buttery gold going on. What is it with you and little kid? Don't answer that. Don't answer that. It's a safe stream. You're setting yourself up really, really well today, Dan. Sir Mortarian. That's a cool name. That's a cool name. Welcome to the stream, bro. Safe stream. It's never a safe stream. There's a reason I've got the warning. This content is usually for mature audiences thing on. I know that impacts our viewership, but the stream is not for children to watch. Some of the stories are out there. That's why shades come in bigger bottles, so you have some left after you spill most of it yourself and everything around you. That could be it. That could be it. I thought it was so that the center of gravity was off. And because you're more used to using a smaller pot, you're more likely to hit the lid on a bigger pot if you're painting on autopilot. I thought that was the reason, but maybe I'm just super cynical. Lots of paint still comes in pots. I use P3 paint, and they come in these chonking great big pots. Amethyst Rose, I didn't even open this one. It's a kind of a nice pinkish red, I guess. Kind of a little bit more like it's just straight up red on the camera. But, yeah, even these pots aren't as bad as the GW ones. They certainly seal tighter. I use the maximum my compressor will go up to. Now, the compressor is capable of putting out a consistent 22 psi. However, if there's no air coming out, it will use the hose as its tank. It's a tankless compressor. And the tank will fill up to about 45 psi. So by tank, of course, I mean the hose. And I find that extremely useful for hitting like absolutely clutch highlights. So sometimes you'll see me stop spraying, like completely stop spraying, wait for that to charge up, and then hit that highlight. Because I want that laser sharp. I don't know what I was trying to say there. Laser precision. That was it. In that highlight. Great armor with yellow capes for Chaos Warriors? Yes, it would. Now, I'm going to warn you. These are your first minis. These are your entry into the hobby. And you said that you personally were worried about getting things wrong earlier on. Yellow is a difficult pigment to work with. For most. There's some things you need to learn about painting yellow. I would suggest that yellow is not an easy color for a novice or beginner to paint. However, there are tricks to it. You'll need some sort of ochre colored paint. P3 do a great one called Bogrim Brown. Oh, yellow's one of mine as well. I mean, you know, we paint these guys for fun. My knights are all black and yellow hazard stripes. Love yellow. Love yellow. And because, as well, it's one of those colours that people find difficult to paint. Whenever you've got an army that's got a load of yellow on it on the tabletop, people, like these, people look at it and go, oh, I wish I could do that. As a commission painter, to me that's money. That's rent. That's food. That's all these things coming through, right? So I love yellow, and I'd encourage everyone to learn to paint yellow. And doing it without an airbrush is even harder. An airbrush makes it much easier to do. I will get to your question about highlights in a second, dude. But the real trick, the sort of key to making it easy for yourself, is starting off with a good base coat. I like to use ochre, which is a kind of browny yellow, maybe like a dull English mustard yellow, over black. And that'll take a couple of coats, get it nice and smooth. Then start mixing that with GW's Flash Kits yellow. That's really, really good yellow. That's one of the reasons I keep using GW paints. Is Flash Kits yellow is one of the best yellows you'll ever find. And once you've got that down, you start building that up with a little bit of bright bone to do it by brushwork. Then, when you've got all of that, you take some orange and you glaze that into the shadows, and then things become a lot more interesting. That Bogran brown, that ochre, needs to be sort of taken on a bit of a journey to help it transition well into the yellow. It's a bit of a process, but it looks epic when it's done. Right, highlights. You said you struggle to get highlights like me on smaller minis. Any tips? Brush control is obviously absolutely key. You need to be sure that you're literally hitting the area you want the highlight to be. And obviously that we've kind of missed a step with that. That the first part is making sure you know exactly where your highlights need to be to ensure that you've got the right thing going in the right place. There's no point in doing a highlight, spending time getting into position, making sure your paint is the right consistency and so on, and then putting it on in the wrong place. Highlights serve two purposes. Can anyone tell me what those two purposes are? Any one of my students should know this, like by rote. If not, that's your next tattoo, a definite. Can anyone tell me? Draw the eye. Yes, we'll take that as an answer. That's a little bit vaguer than I was looking for, but yes, that's part of it. Essentially, the overall effect of doing both of these two things will draw the eye. So that's the overriding goal of highlights, but there are two things that highlights are put on minis to do. Any other guesses from anyone? Craig, if you're still in the chat, you best be typing, bro. Or looking through your notes frantically. I'll accept that. Okay, just want to change his jawline a little bit. Nobody else? Think about the lines that I'm doing on the face right here. What are we really doing? Why am I putting this highlight in exactly this spot, for instance? This is something that isn't talked about very much by mini painters. Certainly I can't remember ever seeing something like this on a YouTube video or similar. Can you remember people saying, you know, oh, I did a highlight here, but not why they did a highlight here. Accentuate features, yeah. Contrast and cheating your eye to believe light works like it would on full scale. So we're getting there. That second part is definitely correct. And Drunk Mystic will take yours as definitely a good answer as well. Bumble Duck, that's a solid one. It is a solid one. So two things that highlights serve to do. The first one is to create the illusion of light and shadow. So it's an optical illusion because whilst there is light hitting the mini, it's not hitting it in exactly just those places. We know that. So everything we're painting with all of our highlights and shadows is that illusion of the effect of light. Okay. The second thing is to bring out detail. So to accentuate those features, you're absolutely right, Drunk Mystic. There's so much detail on the miniature. We have to pick and choose which bits we show to our audience. When we did the lion, so the gigantic bigature here, the 190 odd millimeter tall Primarch of the Dark Angels. We could have gone even wilder on the highlights there to really, really push those to give us something that is absolutely wild in terms of the way it looked. But it would have been too much. And equally, on something that's small and a very new model like we've got here, we could go too far with our highlights as well. We could put in too many. So you have to pick and choose the highlights that you've got to help define the shape and showcase the detail that's been sculpted on the miniature. If you've got areas like this, for instance, where we've got this really nice edge, this works to serve both of those two purposes. It will show you where light interacts with the miniature, because it would interact with it at this point, towards the top edge of this bit of armor plating. But it also helps to showcase, because it's the edge of that part of the mini, the end of that bit of detail helps draw your eye to that bit of detail, and then importantly, helps to finish off that bit of detail. If you've ever seen a miniature where you're looking at it and you can see there's loads of bits, but they all kind of merge together a little bit, what it normally needs is a lot more contrast. You need to put some shadows in there to show this bit of detail's finished, some highlights in there to show this bit of detail's finished, and that means once you've done all that, you'll end up with something that looks a little tidier. We have to exaggerate everything we do as an artist on these minis because they're so small. Every part of this is something that has to be treated as an indication that there's detail there, and it's up to us to really pick and choose those bits of detail and showcase them to our audience. Now, there are some common sense highlights, I like to call them, of this is exactly where this highlight would go. So let's take this for instance. The top of this would be brighter than the bottom of this, so we're going to highlight the top of that. That's closer to the source of light that we're choosing to use, which for me is almost always a ring like this around the mini, rather than like one solid point above coming light straight down. Like if it was indoors, it could be a hallway light, or it could just be the sun is at exactly 12 o'clock. But I like to choose to do a ring around the miniature with light coming down all the way around, so that we can take our miniature and we can make it look good from all four sides of the model. Because when he's on the battlefield, we're going to see this side of it quite a lot, and there's usually a lot less detail than this side, but I still want this side to look cool, because when I'm looking at my toy soldiers or my clients are looking at theirs, I still want that feeling of, God, that looks great. Still need to have that. So we have these highlights, which I said common sense highlights. Realistically, there'd be very little light that hits down here, but I still want that bit of detail brought out. So I'm going to put on a thinner highlight there than we did up here. This one comes most of the way down there, probably about 60% down. This one about 20% down. But we'll still do a little drop highlight on the edge there that comes down most of the way. That's what I tend to call a rule of cool highlight. It's a bit like seasoning with food. Right? When it's not there, you notice it. When it is there, everything's just great. Cadian Ranger, I feel like you're back in class from yesterday. Absolutely, bro. Absorb, his butt does look great. He has got a very toned, skeletal, shiny metal ass. But Nidge, for 7 months now, coming in on that sub train. Absolute superstar. Thank you very much, brother. So you have rule of cool highlights, and you have common sense highlights. And the rule of cool ones usually break all of the rules of where light would actually go and why something would happen. But if you don't put it in there, there's just something missing. And that's what we're very keen to avoid. It's that feeling of, it's not quite right. That's why we go on with these highlights. But look at that gold. That is shiny and fucking gorgeous. Love these scale products. They're great. This gold, still shiny, but not as shiny as this. Now we've had that highlight on there. Still got a couple to do here. I'm going to get some highlights around the underside of this. And I see a Wild Jan is in the chat. How you doing, brother? Always good to see you. How is your new year? Samurai Poet 77, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream. And Idorian24 as well, thank you. New Year's delightfully quiet. Yes, it was. Well, not for me. I was streaming till 2 a.m. We did all our giveaways on New Year. It was the end of the month. So why not? Throw a big New Year's party. Do our giveaways. We did the finishing touches on this absolute beast. This is the Warcry Ogrid Myrmidon. Got some blood splatter on him, which we don't normally do. It's not my favourite effect on minis, but I think this guy warranted it. Got a big old forest/jungle base for him. Something nice and bright to help bring everything together. We kept him pretty dark otherwise. You see we've got this very black, brown, slightly purple tinted skin there. Coming up to this nice sort of yellowy orange at the front. Big fan of the way this guy turned out. Really, really like him. He's going to be on his way soon. Just need to take some photos. Got to get the light box out. Just haven't been asked yet. That's basically all it is. It's just like, yeah, I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah, I'll still do it tomorrow. Now we're working on Sarek. This is the Necron commission we've got going on. We've got Silent King, the Void Dragon, and a conversion of Anrakia the Traveller, which we've done a little bit of work on stream today. Alessandro DG85, thank you for the follow as well. We've got to be approaching 3k now. Got to be closing in on it. Got no real goal to hit it. It will happen when it happens. I'm not trying to push it or anything like that. I don't believe in trying to force numbers for the sake of numbers. It feels a bit like playing WoW. And we gave that grind up a long time ago. But it'd be really cool if we hit 3k before our next stream anniversary, which is in April. I'm pretty sure we'd be alright to do it. Get in there. We're getting there. So again, get these little highlights in underneath the detail. By putting them underneath the detail, it just helps those little recesses to look even deeper. Again, it goes back to that optical illusion that we were talking about earlier on. Everything has to be an effect rather than a thing. Discord is the best place, Samurai Poet. But we can talk about it here. What were you thinking about? I am booked, so any large commission, I am booked through to probably the end of August. So I'll be able to take commissions for the last 3 months of this year. What the fuck? It's insane. Like, I wouldn't normally take commissions that far ahead, but I had somebody ask me to do what turned out to be about £6,500 worth of custodies. I'm still like in shock and awe about that commission. That's a lot of custards to bank. It's great news, bro. It really, really is. Like I said, I wouldn't normally take anything after that, but for this, which is obviously quite a large project, we're solidly booked. And I believe September, Nick McDade, who I'm painting some Dark Angels for recently, we'll be doing a little bit more on. He's going to want some more stuff done ready for the LVO. LVO 2022, baby. It's going to be the one. It's going to be the one. You'll see Imperial Knights win the Las Vegas Open. And, of course, win the ITC. Everyone that sat there going, oh, Knights are good. Knights are so shit. Knights are competitive. They're in a bad place right now, guys. Tune into our next video where we play something else equally badly. So, yeah, it's that's where it's going to be. Yeah, it's about 60 infantry and bikes and dreadnoughts and tanks. There's a lot going on in that commission. A question: when you first started streaming, did you have a few friends that were following you right at the start? Did you work up from zero? I had a couple of friends. So there's like 5 or 6 people that followed me straight off the bat. But essentially, yeah, there was nobody from a stream community that gave me a boost, if that's what you're asking. Obviously, by working with Mikey from Hellstorm, we kind of complement each other. He does a lot of the sort of social side of Warhams and a little bit of the competitive side. I do the painting side, a little social side, and then a competitive side. So we bounce off each other a little bit. Liam gave us a shout out, actually. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, back when he was Warhammer and not just Liam Dempsey. I say just Liam Dempsey, like he's fucking chopped liver. He's obviously not. But yeah, he gave me a help at the start, actually. I love Liam. He's a great guy. And he wants to do more work with me. It's just fitting it into both of our schedules. So yeah, that's there's an option at some point in the future for myself, Liam and Jamie to do some work together. Right, coming in for a second highlight now. Now I've just got a pre-mixed version of this. So where do I just put it? Here, this is my own concoction. This is basically this mixed with this, so Dwarven Gold mixed with Vallejo Model Air Silver until it just becomes silver looking. As soon as that happens, you just mix a little bit of gold back in to bring it back to looking a bit more like gold than silver, and that's your highlight color. Now I use this so often that I just made up a batch of it. And we're coming in, we're hitting the top edges of all of these Necron symbols. I have no idea what shape it's meant to be. It looks like a weird skull mask, essentially, by the time you take the front of this and the 2 prongs that come down from the bottom, like that thing there. And we're just putting these little tiny highlights. Now you need to keep these super small. Again, we're going all the way back. So great, nice one, fucking nice one. No, bizarrely it's not, because they don't make the scale version. That's such a nerd joke, and I fucking loved it. It's not a regression. Ugh. Sorry. Going back to what we've been talking about most of the lesson, which is the alteration of hues using filters, such as a wash. This also alters the hue. Think about how small a line that we're painting. Okay, you'd think it won't have much effect. But then think about how small the miniature is. A line this size scaled up to me would probably be the width of my thumb, and you'd notice that on a person. You know, whether it would be like weird stripes on a jumper or something, you'd see that pretty clearly. And so you need to keep these very small, because otherwise what will happen is you will change the overall hue, so the colour of what we're painting, into something that's very, very different. So whenever you're applying these final highlights, keep them really small. Look now at that, this vajazzle, and then look at that. This is very rich, very gold, very yellow. That still is, but it's not the same. Now if we'd made these highlights much bigger than they are, or if we'd gone in and done even more highlights underneath, say, all of these bits of detail here, which we've specifically avoided doing, the whole thing would look very bright, and that's not what we want. We want this to still be that dark, antique looking gold. For the back, not that you're ever going to see any of this because it's great big bloody clape. That's right, that clape. But his big cloak, which is what I was trying to say before I changed my mind to cape, is going to cover all of this. But Ben, if you're still watching, this is the level of service that you get. Invisible highlights. Sakarem, hey there, I was wondering how effective pointing a light at a model is for non-metallic metal. I'm new to the technique. There's actually a really good method of doing it, where you take the miniature. So first off, let's just wind that back a bit. Non-metallic metal is a great technique for painting display miniatures, and that's usually it. They look great from this angle, and maybe also this angle, and that's the end of it. Because when you paint non-metallic metals, you are showcasing on the miniature exactly where light is striking the mini, and that's it. By forcing the shadows into place and forcing the highlights into place, you have chosen that aspect where your audience is going to stand, right? And so if you take the miniature, shine a light on it, a harsh light, so like get something really, really bright and possibly even really focused. So take a torch and then maybe wrap the end in cardboard so there's only a spotlight coming out rather than being something that's very diffuse. If you shine that at the model from whatever angle you want, take a photograph of that with the contrast. Contrast put up to full and the saturation put down to low, or just take it in black and white, like grayscale, with that effect. You'll then see all of the areas where there is bright white and all your highlights coming in really, really starkly. So it's a great way of beginning the process of non-metallic metal if you're unsure where your highlight should go. Another method, which is equally as useful, is just getting Google out and going for it with some searches there to get some reference material. So films, especially fantasy films, say you're painting this dude, and you've decided you're doing non-metallic metal around the shield. Look up some pictures of shields and see where the light would fall on that, and then you can inform your painting decisions from there. Haven't thought of the contrast. It works, dude. And that's for anything. That's not just non-metallic metal. If you're struggling to work out where the highlights would go on your miniature, take a photo, piss around with the settings on your phone or Instagram or whatever you want to use for it, until you get what's essentially a light map, and that tells you exactly where those highlights are going to go. Faces are a good one. Hey, no worries, dude. No worries. We're here to help. However, as a price for that help, what you can do is later on in the stream we do a work in progress gallery. It's going to be the last thing we do in the stream, and it's going to be in about half an hour. You can submit something, and we can have a look at your non-metallic metal. So exclamation point whip or exclamation point Discord, and come and show off. Show me what you got, dude. 3 picks or less, so we make sure everyone gets a chance to show off their stuff. Let's see it. Right, now the important part. Let's do the face, and we might even get glowing eyes done today as well. If you like cats, that's great. White cats can safely say, I love my baby, she's great, but fucking cat hair everywhere. Maybe next time? Okay, bro. Pressure's on now, though. You know. So we're hitting these highlights just above the eye, because these are the common sense highlights. All right, we have to put a highlight here because that's where light would actually fall, and it would look weird if we didn't highlight it. So we're doing the common sense highlights first before we get to any point where we can start to alter the base appearance of it. We've worked out how bright everything's going to be by the time we've done all these, and we can make sure we don't end up with something that's too bright. Why'd you hear Freddie Mercury in the distance? I'm trying to work out if there's a punchline coming or it's like a "Don't Stop Me Now." Although weirdly, my head went, "Who Wants to Live Forever?" Or delivered within 20 working days. It's a long wait. That is a long wait. Cadian Ranger, you take care, brother. Hope you're doing that homework. Rutang! How you doing, fella? Good to see you as always, my friend. How was your New Year's? We had a banging New Year's giveaway stream. Lots of fun. We've now got a Amiga Warglaive to paint for tilts, and a Blood Bowl Minotaur to paint as well. Looking forward to those. Right, let's do a little bit of that mouth. Pressure. Oh yeah. Yeah. Quality. We could also go with one of the tunes from Highlander. Give Me the Prize. Big Queen fan. That was a soundtrack to me being about like 8 to 10 years old or so. Nice and quiet. Awesome, dude. Awesome. Info, there's none of that. What are you after, Drunk Mystic? Right, tiny specular highlights just at the end of this line, just to allow some of that shape, which we were talking about earlier on, to be noticed. Let's crash zoom in on Zarek's face. So we want to retain that gold. We want to keep as much of the dark shadow. Where you use meeps, you only use meeps on the very last stream of the month. Exclamation point win. There you go. That's the only time you ever use them. So essentially, you save up all month, you watch all the streams. I haven't worked it out now that we're doing Saturdays as well. But you generally get, you get 1 meep per minute given in 5-minute increments. And so, let's see, we start at 9, or the stream goes live at 5 to 9. We finish at about 11:40, so that's 2 3/4 hours of streaming 3 nights a week. That's 2, 4, 6. 8.25 hours, and then call it 8 hours 20 when we start 5 minutes early today. 11 till 2:30. 10, 11. Call it 11 hours by the time we've sort of overspilled the stream and gone a bit late here and there. So times that by 60, and that'll tell you how many meeps you could get a week. So that would be 6600. No, it'd be 660 meeps a week. There you go. Which is just over 1.5 tickets. So in a 4-week month, not bad. By the time you subbed as well, that gives you about 15 tickets into the raffle. Just for being here and being a sub. And of course, if you are a sub, then you've got the opportunity to win some minis painted by me. Like I said, this month we're painting up the Amiga Warglaive. That's the one with the melter gun and the chainsword. And we're painting up the Blood Bowl Minotaur in the Dumbass Cowboys team colours. That's what we're going to call it. Which is basically to be silver with a bright blue star in the middle of it. And that's going over to Craig the Cal. Those are the last 2 giveaway minis. They're also winning some Rival Crafts goodies along with that, because Sarah was extremely kind and sent me a big old Christmas present full of new Rival Crafts gear to give out and share. Alright, so we managed to keep the face pretty dark from almost all angles there. We've kept these highlights very small. It's exactly what we want. Notice how we haven't done any highlights under the eyes. And that's because we're going to paint that with a little bit of a blue glow. Do you have space for a commission? Not soon. It depends on what. If it's a single character, then I might better squeeze it in. Unless that single character is like Gaz or the Silent King. At that point, probably not. But maybe we can pick up a couple of characters perhaps over the next few months. But nothing more than that right now. I will have space for a commission in July, more than likely. As we're doing the custodes. The first batch will probably start in late April, after we've done some Amigas. And the second phase of that will then be a month later, after I've had a bit of a break, because we're going to need a bit of a break. Painting that much of one army is draining, mentally draining. Nagash, too big, mate, I'm afraid. Nagash is a solid paint job. I'd love to paint him. I really, really would. But that's not something we can just squeeze in, unfortunately, bro. I was thinking more infantry-ish sized characters. But he's such an epic dude. I really want to paint him at some point. He nearly made it into my top 3 minis of all time. Well, top 3 minis of current GW production. Nobody guessed the third one, though, by the way. We still haven't got a guess on the third one. He's on the shelves behind me, and it's something you can't get just by going into your local G-Dubs, even if that local G-Dubs is Warham's World. It's a tricky miniature to get hold of. And will definitely be done for whatever Marine Army I eventually decide to do for myself, even if it's Grey Knights. I love the mini. I think Catacross is way better. He's cool, but in fact, he is very cool. But for me, Nagash has got this. It's because it's Nagash. Yeah. And it's that providence of who the mini is and what meaning he has for the tabletop and so on. I really, really dig that. I'm not much of a lore guy, but you know, there are certain things that are just super fucking cool because of who they are. Even Bobby G is cool because he's the fucking Primarch of the Ultramarines. And admittedly, that's like saying this is the favourite of my ginger stepchildren. But it's still a cool thing. He wields the Sword of the Emperor. It's very cool. Right, got a few more highlights still on these shoulders, and then we're going to paint some glowy eyes. And chest. Should have plenty of time for that. I've only got 20 minutes for that, so maybe that's tomorrow's stream. So I'm not going to have any time to do any assembly between now and tomorrow. So maybe that is tomorrow's stream. Okay. So tomorrow night, non-airbrush OSL. So OSL, for those that are unsure what that means, is object source lighting. I'm going to be using a lot of glazing techniques. So if you want to up your glaze game, might be worth tuning in. Get a bit of a lesson there. And if OSL, or the effect of part of the miniature casting light on another part of the miniature, is your bag, that'll be worth tuning in for as well. It'll be tomorrow night, 9 PM at UK time. Same time as the rest of our weekly stream. So give us a follow, get notified for when we go live. And also, actually, this is probably better because Twitch occasionally shits the bed on sending out notifications for live. If you !social and follow me on one of the social platforms that I have, whenever I go live, I put out a Instagram message with a picture of what we're going to do, and that will then send an image and a message to Facebook as well as Twitter. The exclusive Terminator this utter badass right here, you mean? I fucking love this guy. Oh, he's my absolute favourite. I've got the metal mini that this was based on, and that was my favourite mini for a long time, and this is just him on roids. It really is. I love this guy. He's a fucking beast. And whenever I finally get the chance to paint him for myself, I'm really, really looking forward to it. It's likely he's going to be a Grey Knight Terminator Chaplain, and possibly Tarentus as well, also Terminator Chaplain, but we'll chop his fucking bollocks combi flamer off, because no. We've got a Terminator Librarian up there to do, we've got Voldus to do. I really want to do my Grey Knights, but at the moment, if I'm honest, I'm never going to get the chance, so am I even going to do them? See an epic conversion made into a throne carried by the souls. Oh, okay. Wait, Nagash or Catacross? You see the Denimation sculpted a one-off model of the Emperor for a customer. I think so. I follow them on Instagram. I really like their work. Mostly. I really like most of their work. I'm always a little bit put off by the ever so slightly raped by an airbrush finish that some of their models have. I understand, obviously, being commission man, that you frequently in larger studios have tiers for like different quality. I don't. I have the way that I paint, and that's it. You can like it or lump it. Because I never want to. I know full well that if I say, oh yeah, we'll do a basic tabletop thing where there's no highlights, I'll end up putting some fucking highlights on. because I can't not, and so I may as well charge for that. And also, it means that I've got an Instagram full of pretty pictures, rather than like, here's some stuff that was dry brushed here or something. That doesn't interest me in the slightest bit. And some of the Den of Imagination stuff, whilst I love their colour schemes, is very much, all we've done is use the airbrush and gone, and there's your OSL. Right? That's not OSL. So yeah, mad props to the guys that are there. They put out some cracking stuff. I just wish all of it was the quality I know they're capable of, because some of the stuff they do on their top tier work is so good. I'm just using some Vallejo silver over our gunmetal. We're hitting in some nice little highlights around the detail on all of these joints and so on. And as you see, this is just pretty easy to do. You just find those edges that are prominent and go for it. This was a little bit more of a tricky highlight because there's nowhere really to put it as an edge. But we know that the inside edge of that shin, as you can tell from the way light is actually reflecting off the metal, is giving you more of a real volumetric style highlight for it. You prefer them to Siege? I'm not sold on Games Workshop's painting style, and that's basically Siege's bread and butter, is we make your shit look like the box art, but with different colours. And that's totally fine for them. But it's definitely not for me. I know several of the artists at Siege, and they have some really, really good painters. And I don't even mean like Jonas and stuff like that, the guy that does all their freehand. But they have some really, really talented painters. But I feel they also have some very mid-level painters. And I've seen some of their commissions where that really shows. I have friends that have used them for commissions and unfortunately have not had the experience that they were led to believe they were going to have. I don't want to badmouth anyone, but for what you pay, and for anyone that's had a commission from me, you know it's pricey. I feel my work is good. In fact, I feel my work is fucking great. Not necessarily gonna win Golden Demon or Crystal Brush, but certainly you're gonna get some Best Army nominations if you get a commission from me, and you'll probably win a few of them. But I don't feel that their costs necessarily make up for the quality of work that you should be getting. For instance, I will paint a unit of 5 Primaris infantry. Yeah, so 5 intercessors. And as long as there's no like weird bits of freehand that we've got to do, and any like crazy insane detail or so on anything, then you will get a job that looks pretty damn good. That How to Paint Dark Angels video that we put up on YouTube is exactly how I paint a commission. That was filmed using a commission piece. That's the standards you'll get, and that will cost you 100 quid for those 5, not including assembly. That's just for the painting. For the assembly, you're probably looking at about 5 quid a mini. To remove every single mold line, drill all your barrels, get your poses right, and do the basing part of it, and so on as well. So call it 125 quid for a unit of 5 intercessors. And I feel that my standard, with the airbrush work and the brush work as well, falls in line with Siege's at least silver standard, if not above. And they will charge you a lot more than £125. The difference, the big difference between myself and Siege is that for me it's just me, And for James, who's the MD of Siege, she's someone I know very well. We're definitely more than acquaintances, but I wouldn't necessarily say that we're friends. We haven't spent enough time together for that. But he's a good lad. I really like him. We had some really interesting discussions in Gibraltar at No Retreat. He has a team of people that work for him, and so their turnaround time is substantially quicker than mine. Now, I'm yet to take this on full time. That really will only start next month. Yeah, I can't wait to see what I'm capable of when this is all I do. When this is like my absolute only focus. There's no work, there's no meetings and such to go to interrupt my time, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. Wow, that's good. Do you mean this guy? Oh, you mean the cost of the... Yeah, I think that's extremely reasonable. I also think that it's a fair price. I think you're right. I'd love to charge more. Yeah, wouldn't we all, right? But I also think that's fair. Character models are more costly. So the average character mini starts at about the same price as a unit. And then works up depending on complexity and so on. Like, what are we doing to it? What are we putting on for special effects? Whether it's OSL, whether it's freehand, whatever we might be doing. Obviously, that adds complexity. Complexity adds time. Time adds money, and so on. But for your average character, anywhere around the sort of £100 to £150 mark is kind of about right. Depends on the character as well. Blue-eyed and furry, fucking love you, bro. I'm glad. How are you feeling about the Silent King right now? Because I think this guy looks gangster as fuck. Oh, the silver, the dark shades we've got in there now really pop off, make that bright, and it makes all of the blackstone look darker by proxy. Goes all the way back to what we said earlier on at the start of the lesson. Lesson? Feels like a lesson today. Stream was what I meant to say, where these minor changes in hue have a gargantuan effect on the mini itself. As far as I'm concerned, Andre can charge whatever the fuck he wants. Because I love his work. I really do. All of his stuff is great. I've never seen anything painted by him that's made me think, really? However, and I get why he doesn't do it, but he generally puts shoulder pads on knight bases. But they're just sort of stuck on the base, they're placed on it, they're not placed in it. And I'd really like to see him change that aspect of what he does and make things a bit more integrated. Battle damage it, embed it in the rock and so on. But you know my process, all right? The minis go through that stage of looking a bit like, until suddenly, bam, they don't. I'm glad you're as excited about this guy as I have been. All of these little bits of detail help inform everything else, bring it all together. Matt, I didn't miss your message, I just skipped past it. I'm glad that was the reason. Like, by doing it on the stream, you get to see everything that we're doing. For Matt, we did 2 commissions that were basically the same thing. We painted some 40k planes, and then we painted some Aeronautica planes. And that was one of 2 Aeronautica commissions that I've done, and I will never do another one. So, you want to treasure those minis, Matt. Keep them safe. They're such an utter cock to paint. They really are. They really, really are. Yeah, like I said, I've never inquired about Andre's stuff. I've never inquired about getting any of my stuff painted. Because why would I? I'm at the other end of that demographic, really. But I love his work. It's got a definite... Anything he paints, you look at, and you're like, that was painted by Andre. And I'd love to have the same like credibility. You look at anything I've painted and you go, that was painted by Jay. My style is my own, and it's evolving constantly. But I feel we're at a place where I'm really happy with the overall effect that my miniatures have on a tabletop. Just thinking, we're going to do... No, they're embossed in rather than coming out. We'll see what they're like after we've done the blue glide. But yeah, loving him. Fucking loving him. So on tomorrow's stream, we're doing OSL for a start. We've got loads of bits of OSL on this going to brush on. We've got this little power cell here. That's going to be glowing. And there should be one this side as well, which there is. We've got the chest glow to do. We're probably not going to do the back glow, simply because that is going to be covered by a cape, and you're not going to see it at all. That's why there are no highlights here. You see, this was the workup. This, no workup. I can tell you exactly what Damien charges, and the only reason I can tell you that is because Damien and I have had a conversation about what he should charge. Because he's not a commission painter. He's not a commission guy. Put it this way. I pay his prices. I think they're extremely reasonable for what you get. And as much as I love the guy, I'm not going to promote another painter. He's my bro. I will do quite a lot for that guy. He's an absolute fucking diamond. But this is now how I pay the bills. So yeah, Damien Pedley. His freehand is the most crisp thing I've ever seen. Right, this is it for now. We're going to go into the whip. Ben, just imagine this guy when he stood on that enormous dais with his big dark purple cloak all around him. I'm telling you, man, that in purple, the way I do this purple is going to be... I love him, but not that much. Yes, mate. Yes, that's exactly the right phrase. So, looking forward to that. This guy, like I said, on stream tomorrow. OSL, glowing eyes, all done by hand. So definitely tune in for that one. I've got a load of work to do Monday off stream, and for the Hellstorm stream, I'll probably be doing some assembly. Either the Minotaur and the Hellvrid. Right, we'll start with the Minotaur, try and get through that and the Hellvrid if we can on the Hellstorm stream. But for now, though, exclamation point whip. Head on over to Discord, show me what you've been working on, show the community as a whole, in fact. Let's check it out. Right, so today we got Marcus BB. He's been painting Astaroth. You love him, but won't give him a reach around. I almost certainly would not give him a reach around. No. I like it, dude. I love this armor. The whole over-exaggerated flayed skin thing is weird, but it does look cool. It's a fine cast mini, which means all of the detail is about as crisp as mashed fucking potato. But you've done a good job with it, mate. You managed to keep some shadow in between a lot of those striations, the muscle fibers. One thing I would suggest is, because they left him his elbow pads, which is the weirdest part of the model, right? Like, here's this dude, we ripped all his skin off. We don't know what an elbow's meant to look like without the skin on, so we've just given him his elbow pads. For those, I'd make them ever so slightly different hued to the rest of the red. I get why you haven't, because when you're painting it, you're like, this is all red. It's all his armor, therefore it's red. And it might be that that red is exactly the same red that you've used on the rest of your Blood Angels. But just to help showcase the difference between that and the skin, which we know isn't skin, it's still armor, I would just ever so slightly tint those. So either make them a little bit darker by glazing in something, or make the surfaces look a little bit more different than they are by, again, just taking in some shadows around there and help get a gradient across it. That's me being real picky, though. I think what you've done for this mini is absolutely spot on. Looks great. Wouldn't necessarily change anything. If you wanted to make it look a little touch different on the shoulder, those elbow pads, I think you should. Oh. For a split second there, I thought this was a lightning axe, and I was about to be super impressed, but it's just the texture of that fucking awful resin. Nice job. Nice job. I think, again, you should go darker with your blues. So everything there is very pastel. You've got that sort of sky blue. You've got those very, very light blue greys. For me personally, because it's my style and I want those bold colours at all times, I would go back to a darker blue and then work that into some of the recesses, get it across the blade a little bit, just to give it a bit more punch overall. I know that was entirely the wrong thing to do. I know that you've got a lot of contrast there between that and the orange red anyway, but I'd love to see it a little bit darker, especially around that little power cell, little lollipop thing they stick on either side of your power weapons. Good work though, man. Good work. Right, Muad'Dib. December's model, nearly finished, just bases to do. Yes, rims as well. Good. Good. Death Watch! The Death Watch! Nice. Was these all in December? Or is it December's model, i.e. the guy at the front? Also, what's the deal with some of these bases having... Like, I'm pointing and of course you can't see. You've got... Once we find the mini again. What's these bases about? I don't... I'm not sure about those. I see you got a couple of them on them. But regardless. Looking good, mate. Looking good. You've gone that blue-black. Best way to paint black as far as I'm concerned. Nice job. I see loads of individually coloured shoulder pads, but not necessarily fully finished. So maybe some decals and stuff to go as well. Maybe do some freehand. But I like it, bro. Nice conversion on the... Is that a chaplain or the Judicia? Which leg? Is that a chaplain? I can't remember. It's good though, man. It's good. I do like Deathwatch. Would you ever spend the time on a mini for a Golden Demon entry or something like that, Jay? No, because it cuts into my bottom line, basically. That's it. I'd love to. I was originally going to take a month off last year and do some painting just for myself. And I thought about trying to do the same this year, come basically February. Give myself a month to get it in for Golden Demon. So Watchmaster, cool. But no time, mate. Sons of Rolo, love it, mate. You have gone a little bit too heavy with the airbrush in some areas here. And it's definitely fixable. I just come in with like your shadow color and do that. Let me grab a tank. One sec. Yes, there it is. So this is one of the Dark Angels tanks we've painted for Nick, and I'm going to use this to show you where to put some of your highlights. We need to zoom out just a touch more. There we go. So this big recess here on yours, you have filled that entire area with highlights. You've got a highlight that runs all the way around the inside of there. Now on the repulsor, you've also got these 3 spots around it. And then you've got some again on the attachments for the grav plates, just above those. I probably wouldn't have done any of that at all. It's a personal thing, obviously, but I like to highlight the top edge of this. I have this theory, basically. If you highlight the bottom half of the mini downwards and the top half of the minis upwards, then you get this nice dark shape in the middle, and that allows you to draw attention to any of these parts with just a quick, simple highlight. Or a little bit of detail like this. You've got your dog symbols, and I imagine there's plenty of battle damage to do on these, same as you have done for the other minis that we've seen from you. But I wouldn't highlight any of this area, and I wouldn't highlight any of the tops of those. I did highlight the bottoms of them, and as you can see, you barely see them at all on a finished mini, but certainly that's where I'd put the highlight rather than here. The way you've done yours, the highlights are a little too large, and on the ladder leading up the side, AJS, how you doing, brother? Happy New Year to you as well. Hope things are going good for you. How's your streams going? Give this guy a follow if you don't already. Yeah, the ladder, I'd have just drawn attention to that with edged highlights, not with the airbrush. So you can, if you want to, you can undo that, essentially. Mask off your decal, but then just take some of the darker grey that you've got and just paint over those sections, essentially. Other than that, the rest of what you've done is really, really good. I love it. I love this light grey, but still very much grey Space Wolves that you've got going on. Can't wait to see these once they've got the battle damage and so on down. So don't take what I've said in a bad way. Okay? It's always there for the help. Looking good, mate. Right, Drunk Mystic. War Dancers? Nice. Love that yellow. That is a banging yellow. Gonna give you a solid 9.65 out of 10 for that yellow. Eldril side. What the hell? Oh, okay, cool. Just like my Astaroth the Grim. I did, Mark. If you go back on the VOD, you can definitely get some more detailed like critique over that. My only comments were the elbow pads that are definitely a different material to the rest of his armor. I'd make them just look a little bit different by darkening them down. And the axe blade looks really good, but it's very, very pale, and I'd like to see a little bit more color. So I'd take some darker blues, get them involved in there. You'll end up with a lot more contrast that way, and for me, that's what gives that sense of interest and makes me want to look at it. So that's it in brief. Go back and watch the VOD. It was about 10 minutes ago, perhaps. So, yellow from watching the stream, lovely, dude. Yellow's one of my favorite colors, flat out. I love painting yellow because most people think that it's this mystically hard thing to do. Because they tried to paint Flash Gets yellow over black and it hasn't worked. Francis Kane, thank you for the follow and welcome. But yellow is... Shit, is that it? Yeah. That's it. Yellow is actually really, really easy. Love it, bro. Right, here's one thing that's a pain with yellow. If you see this area in the middle here, you've got like the curve of his ass and you've got that darker shadow that just comes out from it. Sometimes under certain lights that can look grey and it isn't actually grey. But if we zoom out from that, you see how you've got a very desaturated part of it? The only issue with painting yellow the way I do from ochre upwards, you sometimes get that, and the only thing you can really do to fix it is to add a little of orange to it. And it's essentially where the elements of the brown that make it brown and not yellow are clashing and being desaturated by the brightness of the yellow that you've got. Now I can see on here you've got some of those orange bits in there. What you might want to do is take a very, very thin glaze of that orange and just do a little line across that shadow. You won't notice the orange, but you will notice the richness comes back into the shadow. Again, it's a bit of an optical illusion. We play tricks with people when we paint minis. We fool their eyes into thinking certain things. Yeah, light and shadow obviously is the biggest one, but color, warmth, cold, all of these things we control with our paint, and so that's something that you can consider doing there as well. Other than that, and you know I'm going to pick on you for it, those checker marks, they need some work. Clean edges are so hard to do on something that's clearly, yeah, you knew it, there you go. There's clearly a piece of cloth, you know, something that's got bends and folds and all these things. But it's even more important. I'm trying to work out which way round you painted these, and I almost think that you painted it white and then painted a red grid on it and then filled in other boxes. Look at a chessboard. The corners of those squares meet at exactly that point of the corner and nowhere else. They don't have those lines. So what you need to do is you need to take your white, so use some grey and then build it back up, because you're going to spend forever covering that red with white. I like Celestra Grey. It's a really nice colour and it works really well for this. And then just paint those lines back in until your white squares meet the red squares at literally just those four corner points and nowhere else. Then highlight that up with white and away you go. It's fuck hard. That bend in the knee, if we got a different shot that shows it, maybe this one? Yeah. Yes, we're zooming in this far to a miniature. You know, trying to do that on these areas is impossible. You can't really just go with straight lines. It doesn't work, because then you've taken the shape of that limb and you've altered it too much by doing so. But you can still do lines that are like bent in or bent out to keep the corner to corner thing. As long as you hit it so all the corners line up, people can't register really where it's gone. You know, it's hard to keep the curve. Yes, I'll bet you did, bro. I'll bet you did. It's such a pain. I've got a Harlequins commission to do in March, and black and white diamonds. So many to do. So many to do. It'll be mostly red. with black and white diamonds, and obviously the masks and everything else. It's going to be an epic commission. I've got about 6 to 8 weeks to get it done in, and it's going to be full on. I can't wait for it though. Really can't wait. Nice work. That's not what we did today. That's the tank. That's Nick's tank. This is what we did today. Sarek, the Silent King. And he's looking particularly nasty now. So tomorrow's stream, live at 9 PM here on Twitch. We're going to do Blue Glow, Brushed OSL, all around the chest. The little hip glow that he's got. I don't know. And then, of course, glowing eyes as well. I'm going to do it all by hand. So tune in if you want to learn how to do either of those things. Yes, 9 PM GMT. So whatever time zone you're in, up or down by however much. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you to everyone that shared something in the whip. Really appreciate you doing that. It's my favorite part of the stream. So thank you so much. Now, though, let's go find somebody on Twitch, and we'll pass the Hobby Love on. Now, Mikey... Shut up, you. Mikey is still streaming, so he's streaming Space Hulk Deathwing. So we can either go and watch Mikey play video games, or we can find somebody else to go into. We normally go and raid the Miniatures Den, but I'm thinking we'd probably go and raid the Hobby Room. So they came and raided us not long ago, and it's always good to repay that favor. They're also doing a charity donation as well. That's right, charity stream. 48-hour live stream, shift 2 of 4. I thought it was a charity thing. Is it not? No, perhaps it's not. But that could be fun. It's this or Mikey. We'll let the chat decide. Hobby Room or Mikey. You guys decide. You guys decide. Hashtag hobby. I'm liking it. Hashtag hobby. Hashtag Hellstorm. Those are the two. Got one each. There's... Can't say the word now, but you're properly loving Mikey. You. No. Dan, if you streamed right now, I'd send everyone to watch you. Okay, so we've got Big Chicky can't put that in. Got 2 for Hobby, 2 for Mikey. Alright, we'll split the tie with a potentially biased Hellstorm dice. We can't use that. Let's use a twisted dice. I got 1 more for Mikey. Might be going to raid some Space Hulk Deathwing. Maybe I'll print you one day. Okay, 3 people voted for Mikey. We go and raid Hellstorm Wargaming. He's my bro. He's looking slightly concerned right now. I don't know why. I don't know why. Why so concerned? This is going to be great. When we get there, spam the chat, all the emotes. I'll see you guys tomorrow night, live at 9. Peace out, everyone. Have a good weekend.